John Mousinho, excellent coach, trying to keep Pompey in the Championship once again. Let's head back to Fratton Park and join the former England defender Alvin Martin, who's alongside Alex. And it's been really, Alvin, the same gritty Portsmouth this season. That's the way they've approached games. And it was much like last year. Have you expected, I know I asked this a little bit earlier on, but have you expected to see a little bit more progression from this Pompey side this year?
Well, I think to progress, you need to be able to, certainly one thing is you need to be able to perform at home, and that's something that they haven't been able to do. The last 3 games they've lost here. And when you're in a relegation battle, you want to be able to draw on the energy of your fans and make this an intimidating place to come to, which it always was, but certainly of late, it's something that they've lacked. So it's a big game today in that respect. They need to win here. Derby started the season with very good away form. They've fallen away in terms of their away form, but they do have a lot of ammunition here. And it'll be interesting to see how he sets his team up today, John, because if you go really offensive against Derby, they do have the armoury when you turn over the ball to do some damage. So it's going to be a bit of a tightrope, I think we're going to see him walking tonight as a coach.
It's been very tight this weekend with the results in the Championship. You look at the table and it's ridiculous. We know Sheffield Wednesday are gone. Leicester City on 38 points, beaten by QPR this weekend. Oxford also in the relegation zone, unbeaten in the last 4 with 3 wins, but really hurt them at the end. Charlie Kelman getting the equaliser for Charlton. 39 points, Oxford United. West Brom, who beat Hull 3-0 on 40 points. Then you've got Pompey also on 40 points, and Blackburn Rovers, who got a massive win over Millwall this weekend on 42. When you look at that picture down at the bottom of the Championship table, how difficult is it going to be for Pompey to stay in the division, do you think?
Well, I think, by winning games like this tonight, it can give you a springboard. And as you just said then, who could see Oxford doing what they've done? One victory can really propel you in terms of confidence. And look, it is that sort of division every year. It's the sort of division that's hard to read. And I think last season, as he said in his interview there, John, you get results that you can't read, It's incredible. And down the bottom, when it looks like a team's dead and buried, I think you look at like QPR. They were in free fall, and then they pull a big result out against Leicester. It's a crazy division, and at this stage of the season, people do lose their heads. But look, I think the atmosphere here tonight, as the build up, the teams are out now shaking hands. I expect the atmosphere, certainly in that first 10 or 15 minutes, to really be up. And I think it's important that they start the game well here. Who
needs to go for it, Alvin, out of the two of these teams? One of them need to be on the front foot?
Both of them need to go for it, because they've got to make up grounds, haven't they? Derby as well, so they've got to come in. They'll look at a team that is struggling down the bottom here, as a potential 3 points. They've got to start looking at doing that. They've got a gap to make up. And the same with Pompey. That's what makes it a great game tonight. I think neither of them will want to draw. You need to look at 3 points here.
They'll absolutely be going for it tonight. Let's hope, fingers crossed, for another classic in the Championship. Our live and exclusive action here on Talksport 2 from Fratton Park. Remember, we're at the G-Tech Stadium over on Talksport, exclusively in the Premier League. As Brentford take on the bottom side Wolves, hit live games on your Talksport app. You can move seamlessly between the two, or just ask your smart speaker for Talksport. But our main event here on Talksport 2 this evening, live and exclusive EFL action from the Championship, sees Portsmouth host Derby County in the company of former England defender Alvin Martin and Talksport's Alex Crook.
Thank you, Hugh. A very good evening, everybody. The South Coast is the setting for the final game of what's been an intriguing weekend in the Championship. It is sure to be a fight to the bitter end, both for survival and a place in the playoffs. Surprise victories for West Brom and Blackburn on Saturday, and a point for Oxford have dragged Pompey right back into relegation danger. Derby, meanwhile, well, they need the win for very different reasons in order to cut the gap to the top 6 to just 3 precious points. Jeopardy very much in the air under the lights at Fratton Park this evening, and this, Alvin, is where the Championship season really gets going.
Absolutely, stakes are fantastically high, aren't they? And look, I look at the two teams, and when you look at actually goal scoring, Derby have quite an edge tonight, Alex. Can they stick it in the back of the net, though? They've got the potential, and certainly you feel with the pace that they've got, They've got the options of going direct, over the top and short, and they don't have the same options, Portsmouth. That's a big advantage for them tonight, Derby.
Well, on the subject of goal scorers, Colby Bishop got many crucial goals at the end of last season to keep Pompey above the dotted line, but for only the third time this campaign, the home side's talisman is dropped to the bench. In comes Connor Chaplin with Jacob Brown pushed forward as the false nine. Regan Poole returns from injury in place of Jojo Deere. Another injured defender, Connor Shaughnessy, fit enough for a place on the bench. Two changes for Derby as well. They've got veteran Richard O'Donnell in goal after Josh Vickers picked up an injury. Bobby Clark comes into midfield with David Ozo dropping to the bench. And on a big night at both ends of the table, it is the home side in their blue shirts, white shorts, red socks, kicking towards the Fratton end in this first half. Away to our left to get us underway here on Talksport 2. Derby County in white jerseys, black shorts and white socks, attacking the Milton Road end. That's where the travelling supporters are gathered. And a reminder over on Talksport right now, they're just underway at the G-Tech. Brentford chasing a European place in the Premier League, take on a Wolves side who will be themselves surely in the second tier next season. I'll run you through the two lineups in full in just a moment, but I can tell you Pompey in possession in the very early exchanges here, and up over the halfway line comes the returning Poole, plays it down his right hand side, and an opportunity for Connor Chaplin straight away to try and make some progress towards the Derby penalty area. Positive start this from Pompey, but the ball given away on the edge of the Derby penalty area, and then it's launched long upfield towards Patrick Agyemang, the lone Ram striker. Free kick for the visitors just inside their own half. So the Pompey team tonight: Schmidt in goal, Devlin, Poole, Ogilvie and Swanson the back four, Pack and Adams in midfield with Caballero, Chaplin and Millie Alley in midfield. Then Jacob Brown leading the line up front for Derby. The 37-year-old O'Donnell is in goal. He's put a wayward kick straight to a Portsmouth player. It's launched back towards the penalty area but headed clear. Ward, Matt Clark, once a Pompey player, Sanderson and Merck in the back four, Clark and Travis in midfield, Brereton, Schmodix and Brewster behind Agyemang in attack. The ball is just on the edge of the Derby area and it's brought down by Swanson, the former Arsenal youngster, who comes forward down the left hand side, leaving it for Caballero to play the ball infield to Marlon Pack. The home side knocking the ball around neatly, Albert, in the first couple of minutes.
Yes, it's a bright start. The tempo of the game's quite high, Alex. So, as you would have expected, really. Not really gone anywhere with it at the moment.
Home supporters, as they always are for these evening kickoffs at Fratton Park, in good voice. Haven't had too much to cheer about of late, though. As Albin said in the build-up to kickoff, 3 successive home defeats, only 1 goal scored in those 3 matches. John Massinio down there in his black trench coat, black trousers and white trainers will know they certainly need to start picking up points here at Fratton Park if they are to steer themselves away from the potential threat of dropping back into the third tier. Derby have a throw on their right hand side. We played 3 minutes here on Talksport 2, 0-0 the score, as the ball is aimed up towards Agyemang. Connor Ogilvie with a bold head wins it back on halfway for Pompey, but is dispossessed by Ward, the Derby right back, and he plays it down the line looking for Ben Brereton, and it will go out of play for a Pompey throw midway inside their own half.
Big factor, I think, tonight for Portsmouth, Alex, is Brown. Really, he's coming up front. He's not a natural big centre forward. He's somebody that will have to get the ball in behind, or certainly get balls played into his feet to be effective tonight. But he's going to be a big part of what they need to happen for them.
Yeah, defensively they've been pretty resolute, Pompey, over the course of the season, but it has been scoring goals that has been their major issue, hence the fact Bishop makes way today. Only 2 league goals all season for the number 9, only 1 of those from open play. If they do stay up, I would imagine top of John Massinio's summer shopping list would be a new centre forward, but easier said than done at times. Derby have given the ball away really cheaply on the edge of their own penalty area. Marlon Pack trying to play it forward, but it's a sloppy pass, overhit and behind for a goal kick, but not great there from the visitors.
I think also, looking at Derby, the enforced change in goal, O'Donnell, they'll want to test him, maybe a couple of long-range shots, certainly putting him under pressure with the back pass, which we've already seen early on, just to see if he is a little rusty.
Well, it's only his second championship start of the season. O'Donnell, he's about to take the goal kick in front of that Fratton end to our left, all in green with a splash of orange on his shorts and gets plenty of distance on that left-footed ball forward, headed on by Brereton. Schmodix was chasing, but there was a foul by the Southampton loanee. Ben Brereton and Pompey have a free kick midway inside their own half at 0-0. Quite direct that.
Yeah, well, I think you need to sort of just mix it up a little bit, really, Alex.
Well, Pompey have gone long as well. They were looking for Caballero just on the edge of the area, and Joe Ward had to defend that ball.
Did well, didn't he? Taking that on the half volley on a greasy surface like this was certainly one of the Portsmouth forwards around him. He hadn't got that perfectly in terms of his fifth touch. He could have been in trouble there. He made it look easy.
Yeah, he certainly did. The long punt upfield from Nicholas Schmidt, the Austrian goalkeeper for Portsmouth. No John Eustace, by the way, down on the touchline tonight. The Derby manager serving a one-match suspension, watching from the stands. As Derby have a free kick deep inside their own half. 5 minutes gone already here, 0-0.
Not really had a ball up to any of the forwards, have they? You know, it's been mainly Portsmouth, slow build-up, getting the ball in the final third of Derby. Derby really haven't got the ball into Agyemang or any of the front players.
Well, John Massinio, usually animated on the touchline already in the ear of the fourth official, feels I think that Derby took a little too long over the restart. I know it was a frustration of Massinio's when the home side lost here to Hull recently. Schmodix playing the ball out to the Derby left-hand side, chance to cross into a congested penalty area. Good ball in as well and headed right across the face of goal. Brereton keeps it alive and his cross is eventually smuggled clear. That was first real half chance that we've had.
Yeah, it was Brewster really. The ball coming from the left-hand side. It was a free header. I felt he should have done better with that. He seemed to misjudge the flight of the ball.
Will be a throw in for Derby. Level with the penalty area down this right-hand side. Joe Ward, the fullback, is just wiping the ball on his white jersey and about to hoist this into that 18-yard box in front of the travelling Rams supporters. Pompey have got everybody in blue back behind the ball. 7 minutes played, Portsmouth 0, Derby 0. You're listening to Talksport 2. Live from the south coast, and well, again, I think John Massinio will be frustrated how long this throw-in is taken, and when it does go in, it is volley clear by Ebu Adams. Only as far as Ward, though. Decent little delivery from him back into the penalty area again, looking for the head of Brewster. Nodded clear by the diminutive Chaplin, but Derby just beginning to build up a head of steam here. The team chasing a place in the top six. Brereton nods it down towards the penalty area, and in the end they're content to let it go behind for the first corner of the game, Derby County.
Yeah, good little spell for Derby, getting the ball into the penalty area, pinning Portsmouth back in there. They don't want to concede, do they? They've got everybody back. They're playing cautious.
Come on, Pompey is the cry as John Massinio's men defend this first corner of the evening. It's going to be played in from the right-hand side. There are a queue of 4 or 5 white jerseys camped around about the 6-yard mark. It's over the head of Brereton. Not a brilliant header clear. And Schmodix with a shot. Fired in. And Derby County take the lead inside 8 minutes. And it's a landmark moment for Sammy Schmodix, his 100th career league goal. The defending from Portsmouth was absolutely atrocious. Poor header away. Nobody picked him up, Schmodix, and he's rifled in from 12 yards out into the bottom left-hand corner. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1.
So clinical from Schmodix. He controls it with his left foot and just bends it right foot into that bottom right-hand corner. They were practicing that in the warm-up, and he was effective doing it, and he's certainly taken that into the real game. What a great finish.
And what a start for the playoff chasers. Less than 10 minutes gone. And it's the Derby supporters away to our right who are celebrating. But John Massinio will be absolutely furious with the defending Alvin.
Well, he had everyone back in there, Alex, but you've got to get more purchase on the header. That header has got to be landing 20 yards, 30 yards out, and then they've got to do something with it. But when it lands inside your own penalty area, you're relying on a first touch not being effective, not being good enough, and it certainly was, wasn't it? It was a fabulous finish.
And they were too slow getting out, weren't they? As you say, they had enough defenders back there, but once the header was clear, they were almost ball watching. And to be fair, he's been clever with a finish, Schmodix, because he knows there's a lot of defenders blocking Nicholas Schmidt's view, so he's just got his head over the ball, fired it low and hard and into that bottom corner.
And what a test now this is for Portsmouth in terms of character. they would have been relying on the crowd, certainly putting Derby under pressure, keeping the crowd on side. Now the crowd will probably give them 5 or so minutes, but if they give a ball away and they don't look like they're getting back in this game, they can get impatient, the crowd, and then that makes it more and more difficult.
Portsmouth 0, Derby County 1. Shami Smodics, as I say, his 100th league goal, only his second since joining on loan from Ipswich Town in the winter transfer window. But what a start for John Eustace's men. And Pompey, who have struggled to score goals all season, really. Well, you feel, even with 80 minutes to play, have got it all to do now.
And that's it. That's, the point you made there. It's when you're playing in a team like this, and you do concede a goal, and you're not scoring enough yourself. It's a mountain to climb, because you've got no real confidence in your forwards getting you back in the game.
It's a goal kick for Derby, away to our left-hand side. Derby themselves looking to arrest a run of 3 successive away defeats. They've been largely solid on the road for much of the season, but that form has deserted them in recent weeks. But they have lost only one of their last 12 in all competitions against Portsmouth. So certainly in terms of the head-to-head, Derby would have come into this as favourites. That's before you even take into account their lofty league position. 6 points off the playoffs at the start of play 3 as it stands. And it's going to be a real tussle, I think, for that final playoff spot with the likes of Hull City, Wrexham, Southampton. Whisper that quietly in this part of the world, but they're in tremendous form. Tom the Wrecker side. Here is Zach Swanson making his way towards the penalty area, out to Caballero to his left. Then Ebu Adams fires it across the box. Devlin helps it out to that right-hand side of the alley, but it's, again, a poor final pass into the area. You can hear the groans amongst the home supporters as the veteran keeper O'Donnell just collapses over the top of the ball and says thank you very much.
Well, that goal really has taken the wind out of Portsmouth's sails, hasn't it?
You can hear it in the crowd as well, particularly with those results of the weekend that I mentioned right at the top of the commentary. And here's Ajimang trying to hold off Paul. Ajimang into the penalty area. Good strength from the Derby striker, and the end Regan Paul has to slide in and divert the attempted effort behind for another corner. They conceded from the last one. These are anxious moments for Blue supporters inside Fratton Park.
Well, Poole, does really, really well there. He's back in, he's used his experience. He's done well to stay with Agyemang. He's pacey, isn't he? But he knew exactly what he was doing. He stayed with the player and made a block there, because a second goal would really quieten this place down.
There's a corner from the same side that Pompey conceded just a few moments ago. This near right touchline as we look, right in the back row of the dilapidated south stand here at Fratton Park, and the corner to be whipped in from the near touchline. Again, everybody in blue back inside their own penalty area. It's towards the far post this time, and peering from behind one of those blue pillars that props up this stand. I can see it goes behind for a goal kick.
Yeah, I'm not happy with the way that's positioned. You can't move it, can you? Right on the penalty spot it is, and it's where a lot of players congregate, and they all diversify from that delivery. But it looks like they feel they can get something from these set pieces, doesn't it, Derby?
Ball played out from the back by Nicola Schmidt, all in yellow, the Pompey goalkeeper. And out to the right goes Regan Paul to the versatile Terry Devlin. Back now to Schmidt on the edge of that 18-yard box away to our right. There's a cautiousness even about the way that Pompey are moving the ball around now. In the first 6 or 7 minutes, they were trying to go forward quickly there. They played it along their back line. Some more probing pass looking for Millie Ali down the right-hand side this time, and he does win a throw down by that corner flag on the far touchline. Pompey trailing Derby County by a goal to nil over on Talksport. Still Brentford 0, Wolves 0 in the only Premier League game of the night, the last of the weekend. And we've got stacks of European action for you all, the big Champions League and Europa League games over the course of the next few evenings, including tomorrow night Chelsea on a recovery mission as they host Paris Saint-Germain, 5-2 down from the first leg in the French capital last week. That game is live on Talksport 2. Over on Talksport we'll have Arsenal against Bayer Leverkusen. That one tantalisingly poised as well, 1-1 after the first leg. Pompey have a throw level with the penalty area back here at Fratton Park. 14 gone, 1-0 to Derby. Conor Ogilvie up from the back is perched on the edge of the 6-yard box. They've gone short to Marlon Pack, the captain. Pack with the slide rule pass into Chaplin, trying to find some space on the edge of the area. Comes to Caballero, goes to shoot by the home supporters, does shoot, takes a deflection, goes behind for a corner, and that was better from Portsmouth.
Yeah, there's a ball played in there by Pack, wasn't it, to this left-hand side, and he just shifted it, Caballero. We were right behind it. It did take a big deflection. It was on the way onto the target. Whether or not it would have caused the keeper a problem, I don't know, but certainly a good response.
And having conceded from a corner at one end, Pompey trying to give Derby a taste of their own medicine. Ball about to be whipped in, left-footed from the right-hand side. Wasn't a bad one in either, but in the end, Derby have got enough white jerseys back to deal with the danger. I think it was Rian Brewster who hooked it away in the end. And now it's back with the Paraguayan Caballero just inside Derby territory. 1-0 the visitors lead here on Talksport 2. Ebu Adams, signed from Derby earlier in the season, plays the ball out to the right-hand side. Ali with a dangerous cross right along the 6-yard line, and it was brilliantly defended with blue shirts all around, facing his own goal there. I think it was Matt Clark, was it, the former Pompey defender? The flag was up for offside anyway, Alvin. Yeah,
it was a wonderful ball. You know, that's the sort of ball they've got to put in. They haven't got any real height in there, so it's all about the quality of the delivery, whipping it in, and getting across the face of the last defender. But it was still great defending. That you didn't know what was around him, although it was offside. But just lift the crowd. You can see the crowd is still with Pompey if they can just lift it a little bit more.
16 minutes gone. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. The goal in the 8th minute from Sammy Schmodix that separates these two. And remember, Portsmouth coming into the game just a point above the relegation places. This one of their 2 games in hand. And here's Jacob Brown, had the opportunity to come forward, played the ball back into the centre circle, then it's a poor pass from Ebu Adams, and that looked a foul by Marlon Pack, and the referee belatedly gives a free kick for Derby inside the centre circle. Was that a classic case of that lack of confidence we've been talking about, though, Alvin? There were players ahead of him, Jacob Brown, there, and his immediate reaction was to turn back and play the ball safely back into midfield. Yeah, that's right.
It takes the risk out of your game, the natural risk. And look, when you're playing the obvious, obviously it's easier to defend. You need to have an element of risk where you take a chance on a ball. That's the one that the defenders don't want to have to defend.
Jacob Brown bringing the ball down 10 yards inside Derby territory, but immediately won back by the Rams, and then the challenge on the far side by the Northern Irishman Devlin to knock the ball over the byline for a throw. Derby with this 1-0 lead to protect, and one of a number of sides with aspirations of a tilt at the playoffs come the end of the season. Of course, from next season, the top 8 will be part of the promotion picture. 2 up automatically, 6 in the playoffs. Derby starting the game 8th in the table behind Southampton as it stands, only on goal difference. Get Alvin's views on that change in a moment, because Pompey are coming forward with Swanson down their left-hand side. Again, they've given it away on the edge of the penalty, and it's quickly played forward to Ajimang. Ajimang, well, looked like he was too strong for Regan Paul, but again, the referee had a good look at it and decided to bring the play back for a foul. That's been a good battle, isn't it, in the first 16, 17 minutes. Ajimang against those 2 Pompey central defenders.
Well, Poole did well, I think, there again. He read the ball in. The referee got that one right, Al. I think Ajimang is... he's a sort of player that, if you give him half a yard, he's going to be in. But I think Poole has set his stall out, and he's going to be a match for Ajimang. But like you say, it's going to be a good battle, that one.
Yeah, they missed him in defeat here against Swansea last midweek. Caballero with a cross into the penalty area, not a brilliant ball in, and steered away by Dion Sanderson. And here is Ajimang again, trying to test the fitness of Regan Paul once more, and he picks it up left corner of the penalty area, right corner of the box I should say, and into Brereton. Chance for the Southampton loanee, and saved with the legs at the near post by Schmidt. Brilliant play from Ajimang again, corner for Derby.
Well, that shows you the 1-0 up Derby, and the problem that Portsmouth have got now is how many do you commit forward, and when it breaks down, you've got space to play into, and that was the space that he utilised, wasn't it there, Ajimang? What a great ball, and I've got to say, Schmidt come out really quickly, and he had nothing to go for there, Berton.
Therein lies the difference, though, doesn't it? Patrick Ajimang signed from Charlotte in the MLS for a fee of around £7 million in the summer. Pompey didn't invest in a new number 9, and the one they do have, Colby Bishop, dropped to the bench tonight. Here comes the corner, 19 gone, Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. This time the set piece bounces on the edge of the 6-yard box before being volleyed clear by Brown. Still Derby on the attack with Bobby Clark. Clark trying to feed the ball forward to the goal scorer Schmodix. Pompey haven't cleared their lines yet. Comes for Clark again. That was a good challenge on the edge of the penalty area by Swanson, and then the ball dinked forward for Caballero to chase Sanderson. Will get there and just cushions the pass back to his goalkeeper O'Donnell, who 20 minutes in, Alvin Martin, the veteran keeper, the standing keeper, hasn't really been tested.
And I haven't really seen Jacob Brown touch the ball too much. I think you mentioned him there, but that was in his own penalty area. You know, they haven't really got a focal point of their team, Portsmouth.
Home side trying to get their team fired up for this one. Games running out at both ends of the table. Portsmouth heading to Queen's Park Rangers this weekend. They do still have crunch 6-pointers against Oxford and Leicester City, two of the teams they're competing with for survival between now and the end of the campaign. As a free kick is conceded deep inside his own half by the ever combative Lewis Travis, and it will be a dead ball situation here for Portsmouth. Had a chance to load up the penalty area, sending forward the likes of Regan Paul and Connor Ogilvie. 1-0 Derby lead. As it stands, they are going level with 7th place Southampton, 57 points from 38 played, 3 behind Wrexham, who currently sit in the last of the playoff places. The chance here for the home side to try and get back on level terms. The ball will be whipped in, I think, by the left foot of Connor Chaplin, and, well, was he going for goal there, Alvin? I mean,
I don't know.
He's a million miles away. It's a tight angle, but part of me thinks he saw the goalkeeper off his line and tried to shoot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it was never on, whatever way you look at it. Chaplin really has got to be playing that in as a cross. But I think he may have seen the keeper moving out to his 6-yard box, and he's tried to go for the shot, but he was miles away from getting it right. And look, you don't try that, not this stage of the game, not being 1-0 down, not when you're not at your very best.
I have to say, speaking of people who watch this team on a regular basis, Connor Chaplin has really underwhelmed since returning to the club from Ipswich in the summer. It was a deal that looked a good one for all parties at the time, but just hasn't worked out at all. And well, when you're not exactly flavour of the month with these supporters, shooting from 50 yards is probably not the way to get them on side. Here's Ebu Adams carrying the ball over the halfway line. He's had a much more positive impact since his arrival from tonight's opponents, Derby. Ball from Caballero towards Chaplin, sliding in. Ward puts it out for a throw. Brentford have taken the lead against Wolves over on Talksport. 1-0 there. Tell you what, they're only going to be a couple of points behind Chelsea if they win that game, Brentford. Are we talking about Keith Andrews' men as Champions League contenders?
What an incredible job he's done. Unbelievable.
Commentary of that one continues over on Talksport. Here on Talksport 2, midway point of the first half. It's still Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Sammy Schmodix with a goal after 8 minutes. Ben Brereton, who made that challenge on the touchline, is just getting a little bit of stick from the Pompey fans behind the goal. They're attacking as Marlon Pack leans against the advertising hoardings, hoists his long throw into the area, headed up by Clark, not really away. And then the second header clear by Merkin completes the job. And there was a coming together over on the far side, and Derby County have a free kick deep inside their own half. They lead 1-0.
Well, they both went for the ball there. I thought he was going to give it the other way. I think the Portsmouth fans on that far side think that the referee has read that one wrong, but certainly two of them went for it, and he came down. I think was it Devlin on the back of his neck. But, I thought he was going to be more serious, and he just jumped up and got on with it. But it was a poor header, really, from Clark there. Put his own back line in a little bit of trouble. It was a long throw. All he's got to do is put his head through that ball and head it away. He flicked it on for them and caused them a problem.
Matt Clark, once a Portsmouth player, sold to Brighton along the coast for £3.4 million. Didn't really get a look in at the Amex, and back now in the EFL with Derby. He's been a good goal scoring form of lately, actually. 2 in his last 3 outings. He would love one back at a familiar stomping ground this evening. That goal over on Talksport, by the way, scored by Michael Coyote. Usually creates them from his long throws, but he's got himself on the score sheet. Brentford lead Wolves 1-0. Same score in reverse here at Fratton Park. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1 on Talksport 2.
Problem for Portsmouth really here, Alex, is they haven't got that target man. They haven't got the long ball, so they're having to play it really short. He's going to launch one now, but you never feel that they can. They really get it down the middle to a centre forward and then build. And they haven't got an option available to them.
Well, that's the ball over the top, looking for Ajimang. The goalkeeper Schmidt had a good starting position, slides out on the corner of his 18-yard box and just diverts the ball out for a throw. But in Patrick Ajimang, they've got a player, Derby, who is really keeping this Pompey defence on their toes. And what that means is they can't afford to overcommit because he's got so much pace and power to get in behind.
I mean, he's not been prolific of late, but he's one of them players that, even when he's not scoring, he's always a threat, and he holds the ball up and he keeps the defenders occupied. So he's always worth having in your team. At the moment, I'm sure. Portsmouth would love him up front, because at the moment that's exactly what they haven't got.
Throw in for Derby, inside their own half, aimed up towards Ajimang, headed back into Derby territory by Ebu Adams, but quickly the possession is turned over again, and Conor Ogilvie with no option but to knock it out of play for a Derby throw on that far side. Big call by John Massinio, not one that the Pompey fans would have disagreed with necessarily, to take Colby Bishop out of the firing line, but the longer it stays 1-0, the less we see of Jacob Brown. How soon do you think he might reverse that and get Bishop on the pitch?
I think you can see the quandary that he's had. He's got a player who's out of form, lacking confidence, but that there's nobody else that can replace him, and it's a very difficult one for him because the crowd get more and more frustrated. They get onto the player, Bishop, and then you lose that player. Look, he might need a rest 1 or 2 games, but when you get into this stage of the season, you can't rest somebody for 5 games, otherwise it's all over.
Yeah, they do come thick and fast, don't they? We've got the international break, but the Easter weekend feels absolutely pivotal. Pompey play Oxford here on Easter Monday. It's a 12:30 kickoff. I believe it's going to be live on Talksport, and that's a game that, well, they really can't afford to lose. Obviously, a lot can happen between now and then, but you feel it will be pivotal to whether they stay up or go down. It was interesting, you heard the audio from John Massinio before kick-off, after they beat Hull here. A lot of people, I think, thought after that win against the Tigers, well, they're going to be fine. He said, let's not rest on our laurels. You get strange results at this stage of the season, and what do you know, at the weekend, 1-0 down away at Millwall, who could have gone second. Blackburn win 2-1, and West Bromwich Albion in no form at all. Hammer playoff chasing Hull by 3-0. You feel Pompey might need to pull one of those type of results out of the fire between now and May. Here's Caballero. Oh, it's a poor cross straight into the arms of the goalkeeper.
So many of these players, Alex, that's a player lacking confidence there. You can see that as soon as he got it on his left foot, there was no conviction. He didn't know whether to cross it or to shoot, and in the end it was neither, was it?
Long punt upfield by O'Donnell, headed down inside the Derby half, but one back by Brereton. Immediately he was looking for Ajimang. In steps Regan Paul, and here is Caballero again being urged forward by his manager. Down on the touchline below us here at Fratton Park, Ebu Adams skips away from one challenge, plays the ball out to the right hand side. Forward it goes by Devlin, and then Millie Ali almost lost it and left the ball behind him, but he's going to get a second chance here to run at this Derby defence. Can he get across into the penalty area? Brown lurking inside the 6-yard box, and it's lashed towards the near post and turned behind by O'Donnell. I don't think it was necessarily an attempted shot there, but first time O'Donnell's reactions have really been tested, and he was up to the task.
Yeah, that's right. I think that'd be one of the disappointing things from Massinio's point of view. He would have wanted to see that keeper being tested. He hasn't had that much game time, and have a few shots, give him some decisions to make. They haven't done enough of that. 29
minutes gone. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Short corner by Portsmouth over on the far side. Plenty of blue shirts waiting in the centre. And it's headed across the face of his own goal there by Brereton. Picked up by Pack. Centre of the Derby half, and then dink forward over the head of Brown. Regan Paul arriving at the far post, couldn't get there. Well, he claims he was impeded. The referee not particularly interested And it will be a goal kick for Derby.
Yeah, nothing in that. He's been impressive, you know, Poole. He's come back into this team. You can see he's a real leader, a real competitor. At the moment, he's on top and in that battle with Aguimang.
15 minutes the first half to play. You're listening to Talksport 2. Over on Talksport, Brentford in front against Wolves. They lead by a goal to nil, and Derby a goal up here at Fratton Park. Ogilvie is being put under pressure, facing his own goal by the Derby goal scorer Schmodix, but the ball runs behind for a goal kick for the home side, and that goal kick taken quickly by Schmidt. Plays it to Paul inside his own penalty area. Marlon Pack under pressure from 3 Derby players, plays it back to Schmidt, the keeper, and now Ogilvie will come forward towards halfway, just pokes the ball out to his left-hand side, and Zach Swanson coming into the midfield area now, inside the centre circle. He's played it against Aguimang, not once but twice. He doesn't need a second invitation to pick up the ball and run towards the box, but well won back in the end by Swanson, having made the initial mistake.
See, a lot of these Portsmouth players, in midfield, they're getting their head up and they can't see anything up ahead of them. You know, you want to see a big centre forward, you want to see his chest and him wanting and pointing where he wants the ball. At the moment, Brown looks like a fish out of water up there.
The confidence of the home side looks absolutely shot, doesn't it? That's a brilliant ball, diagonal ball, Marlon Pack, perfectly, you'd have thought, for Millie Alley to bring it under control on the far side. He just can't control it, it's out for a throw, and that really sums up the opening 31 minutes as far as Portsmouth are concerned. Mistakes all over the pitch. They're looking to come forward here with the ball given away again. One back by Caballero. Now Swanson up in support down the near left-hand side here at Fratton Park. Swanson 10 yards outside the penalty area. Forward to Connor Chaplin. Chaplin back to Swanson. Infield to Ebu Adams. That's better from Portsmouth. Chaplin with the opportunity maybe to pick out a pass. Back it goes to Swanson. Urged to shoot. Curls one. Straight down the throat of O'Donnell. And Derby lead 1-0.
Well, we were right behind that one, weren't we? And you can see Swanson lining it up, and it just bounced awkwardly in front of O'Donnell. But he's technique very good. He's been assured. He looks like they trust him as well. The back line there, the defenders don't seem to be worried about him. Having said that, they haven't really been able to put any real pressure on him, have they, Portsmouth?
Ball picked up by Marlon Pack deep inside his own half. Knocks it out to his left-hand side, and Swanson has to sprint to keep it in play, but does so, and then it's forward by Adams to Caballero. Caballero coming infield on Ward. He might get a shot away from the edge of the penalty area, takes a deflection. Corner for Portsmouth, but that's what the home fans want to see, isn't it? More purpose, more direction from the team in blue.
Yeah, you can see he's got a little bit about him, hasn't he, Caballero? You know, he wants to cut inside, he can go on the outside on his left-hand side as well. Just trying to measure that right foot up there. He's had a couple of shots and won another corner. You can say the crowd are here. They were still with their team.
Another corner for Portsmouth, their third of the game. They trail 1-0. 13 minutes of the half remaining. Corner whipped in towards the near post. Headed down by Aguimang. They've not cleared it yet, Derby, but they should be able to hear. One back inside the penalty area. Then the shot into the side netting from Swanson. But he did really well sliding in to regain possession.
Oh, he has given it. Corner.
And then he shot goalwards. It did take a deflection. The referee initially, I think, had signalled for a goal kick before realising that, and Portsmouth have another corner. Second in quick succession, attacking the Fratton end where the more vocal supporters are housed inside Fratton Park. You don't know what you're doing is the cry from those fans behind the goal towards the officials. Again, it's a whip delivery from the right-hand side. Matt Clark with a header clear, but Caballero's got it back 10 yards outside the area. Will he get a shot away here? Try to dink one into the box. And he spoons it in the end, out of play for a Derby throw on the far touchline. 1-0 to the Rams.
I don't know what he was doing there. I really don't know. You know, he spooned it, as you said. It wasn't directed at any Portsmouth player. He had a little ball to his left-hand side there. Ali had the ball in a 2-on-1 situation, but you know, you can see the confidence in their touch, the confidence in their decision-making. It's just not there.
Well, that early goal absolutely knocked the stuffing out of Portsmouth, hasn't it?
I think the important thing that the senior will be looking at is not conceding a second. You know, it's not been a great start. He knows his team's struggling for some confidence chance.
Yeah, an opportunity here maybe for Connor Chaplin. Gets a shot away, blocked by Sanderson on the edge of the penalty area. Pack trying to keep Pompey on the front foot, and then Chaplin with the late challenge has conceded a free kick just when pressure was beginning to build. Clever from Lewis Travis to stay down, and it will be a free kick for Derby inside the D on the edge of their own penalty area.
Credit to the Portsmouth players, though, Alex. You know, it's a very difficult situation here. They're low on confidence. They've lost 3 at home here, you know, and the pressure's well and truly on them. 1 point above the drop. They've conceded a goal early on in the game. But I think the work rate has been in. They've grown into it. You know, they've gradually started to get more territory. And although they haven't been able to fashion a real opening, they have put pressure on them and they've put their effort in.
No fewer than 5 live Champions League commentaries coming your way across the network over the next couple of nights. Arsenal Leverkusen live on Talksport tomorrow at 8 o'clock here on Talksport 2. We've got Chelsea against PSG Wednesday night. Barcelona Newcastle, that's a 5:45 kickoff from the Camp Nou on Talksport, followed by Liverpool against Galatasaray at 8 here on Talksport 2. We've got Tottenham against Atletico Madrid at 8 o'clock, and then 2 Europa League commentaries on Thursday. Talksport 2, 5:45, Nottingham Forest a goal down as they go to Midtjylland at 8 o'clock. It's Aston Villa 1 up against Lille in the Europa League. Here at Fratton Park, it's still Portsmouth 0, Derby 1, Sammy Schmodix with a goal with only 8 minutes played. But Pompey coming forward here with Caballero up over the halfway line. Caballero in the red boots, looking to get the better of Ward, and well, in the end it was won back by Bobby Clark deep inside his own territory, and played back now to O'Donnell, the goalkeeper. Flicked on by Ajimang for Rian Brewster to chase. They've had a lot of possession, Portsmouth, in this first half without really creating too many opportunities.
No, it's frustrating, isn't it? You know, but we knew this was the case. You know, they are struggling for a front man. They're struggling to put the ball in the back of their net. You know, and as well as they are in terms of their effort and their work rate's good, that end product doesn't look to be there.
And sloppy there from Caballero, passing the ball straight to Ajimang. His ball forward asked too much of Schmodix, and here come Pompey at the other end with Chaplin forward to Jacob Brown, 6 or 7 yards outside the penalty area, fouled by Sanderson according to the home supporters, but the referee says play on, and Derby have the ball back with O'Donnell inside the 18-yard box.
Caballero plays with Chaplin there. When the ball comes to Chaplin, he's under pressure. He's been hounded by 2 or 3 Derby players, and he hasn't got the options, and that's the one thing that starts to disappear when the side's lacking, you know, that confidence. People stop wanting the ball, making themselves available, and the man on the ball is left really with no options, and it's you know, it's not nice.
You have to go back to the 2018-19 season for the last time Derby were part of the playoffs in the Championship. They win here tonight, they will be within 3 points of the top 6, and crucially perhaps for John Eustace's men, only 2 of their final 9 matches are against teams at the top end of the table, those battling for promotion. So a favourable fixture list might just set them in good stead. Brentford 2-0 up now against Wolves over on Talksport. Igor Thiago, called up to the Brazil squad, has got the second goal. So Brentford really closing the gap on those above them. We thought there'd be a West London team competing for a top 5 finish. We didn't think it would necessarily be the men from the G-Tech, did we?
Yeah, that model is successful, isn't it? You know, in terms of getting players in that nobody knows too much about, and you know, and then selling them on, and there's no disruption. You know, they change manager, they let some of their better players go and replace them. It's incredible.
So Brentford 2 up over on Talksport. Derby a goal to the good here on Talksport 2. At the moment, I suggest they've got Pompey exactly where they want them. They're in much at arm's length with 8 minutes to play in the first half. Conor Ogilvie out to the left-hand side, and Swanson. Now Ebu Adams, 5 or 6 yards inside the Pompey half, turns away from Brereton and makes his way towards the penalty area. And how many times have we seen that? They get in a really good position in around the box. He's done the hard work, Adams, by skipping away from Brereton. And then he's tried to slide the ball out to the left-hand side in Swanson, and he's knocked it straight out for a goal kick.
Yeah, it's like they're playing a man down, Alex. You know, they've got no centre forward. And I was looking at the movements of Jacob Brown. He didn't really know where he was going and where to run, whether to stand still. Sometimes you just got to stand still and offer yourself as a little wall that he can get it into you. But he had no options on. And they are, like I said, it just feels like they're playing a man down.
Ball forward by Ward towards the Portsmouth penalty area. Ogilvie content to let Schmidt come out to the corner flag and pick up possession, and then play it right-footed towards the halfway line. Caballero tussling with Ward, He's had a little bit of joy, hasn't he? The man on loan from Santos, but he's also given the ball away a hell of a lot, and he's done that again here. And Bobby Clark seizing on it, had his shirt pulled by Pack. Marlon Pack is having a go at the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper's having a go at Conor Ogilvie. It's a yellow card for the Portsmouth captain, and it's all just getting a little bit dishevelled as far as the home side are concerned. That was quite visible, wasn't it? Players having a go at each other, Alvin Martin.
Yeah. Again, like I said, it's all these little things in their makeup here, Portsmouth, is why they are where they are. The lack of a recognised forward who you feel when you get the ball to him, he's going to hold it up and he's got a chance. And when the ball goes wide, you've got a physical presence in the box. People making themselves available. Maybe now and again putting a tackle in when you have to, or having a go at each other. Now and again, that feistiness is not there with them.
Free kick here for Derby, halfway inside the Portsmouth half. Sorry, my colleague Ian Abrahams is reminding me that I did call Thiago a donkey on our Fiery Friday podcast. He's just scored another goal and been called up by Brazil. You can get good donkeys.
You've obviously motivated him.
You can get good donkeys. Here comes the free kick, chipped into the penalty area. Schmidt thought about coming stopped. It was a good decision because the ball swirls behind for a goal kick. I mean, the issue I think the Portsmouth have got, Albert, is if they do go back down to League One, it took them a long time to get back up from the third and fourth tier. There's no guarantee they reclaim their championship place quickly, and there's certainly no guarantee they keep hold of John Massinio.
No, that's right. Again, will they invest? What will their budget be? Even in the division below, because they're up against it now. Many teams in this division have got much bigger budgets.
It was Connor Chaplin who picked up the first yellow card in the game, and I think Sammy Schmodix has just been shown one for stopping the restart. The goal scorer for Derby, the man whose strike after 8 minutes separates the two teams, the first visiting player to go into the referee's book tonight. 4 minutes in the first half to play, 1-0 Derby lead, and the ball is played out to the right hand side, and Millie Alley. Now Ogilvie in the centre circle. Portsmouth chasing an equaliser before half time. Switched out to this left hand side, and Caballero. Now Swanson swings a right footed ball towards the corner of the penalty area. It's asking an awful lot of Connor Chaplin, who isn't big in stature. Kept alive by Ali, and he's fired his cross behind tamely for a goal kick. Once again, the end product from Portsmouth lets them down.
Yeah, well, it started, didn't it? That ball was fired in to Chaplin, and it's hoisted high into the air. He's never going to get anywhere near it, and then the ball does drop to Ali. Ali, I think these two wide players, Caballero and Ali, have got something about them. If they get the ball to them, they're not full of confidence, but at least they will run with the ball. They will try and take somebody on, and that gets the crowd up.
Goal kick for Derby to be taken by O'Donnell. We tiptoe into the last couple of minutes of this first half on Talksport 2. Now Bobby Clark trying to come forward down the left-hand side. Portsmouth have won it back, and Devlin switches the ball out towards Caballero, headed down to Ben Brereton by Ward, but a strong challenge by Ebu Adams, and Adams trying to make his way towards the penalty area. Shot from Brown, spilt by the goalkeeper, but he manages to gather at the second time of asking, with Caballero breathing down. Better play there from Portsmouth as they search for this equaliser before the interval.
See, sometimes it can be a challenge like that, a full-blooded challenge that lifts the crowd, and the ball broke, didn't it, favourably to Brown. He hit it well, but he still looks like a midfielder, doesn't he? He looks like a midfielder. He struck a ball well, but there wasn't any real conviction in it.
You are listening to EFL live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18 plus, fees apply, 2 delivery orders subject to availability, and prices may vary. I don't think we're going to get too much by way of added time at the end of this first half. The referee has allowed the game to flow well under the lights here at Fratton Park on a crisp South Coast evening. John Massinio, the Portsmouth manager, visibly animated down in front of us on the touchline as Ogilvie comes over halfway for the hosts. Just plays the ball a few yards forward to Caballero, and then back into the centre circle, and Devlin, bit of space for Millie Alley again on that far touchline. He's got 4 blue shirts in the penalty area, and he's just left the ball. He passed it to nobody, and here's Ajimag coming forward at the other end. Can Derby get a second before half-time? Agyemang into the penalty area, through the legs of the goalkeeper, hits the post, and then just about Pompey managed to get it clear. Well, that was almost an almighty mess. Ali having given the ball away at one end, the shot went through the legs of the keeper, post saves them. Here come Pompey on the counter, Caballero into the area, and his cross-come shot to the near post beaten away by O'Donnell. A frantic end to the first half at Fratton Park.
What passage of play that is. I mean, that's crazy what Ali did on that right-hand side. He just passed the ball to him, said, go on and attack us. Then they get one-on-one. Agyemang against Poole, and I tell you what, Poole does ever so well to get anywhere near him. At least he forced him wide, but how that ball didn't hit the back of the net, I don't know. It took a ricochet, and it hit the inside of the post, then come back out, and they couldn't get on it, could they, Derby? It's incredible that they didn't score there.
Adam Armstrong has pulled a goal back for Wolves over on Talksport. Brentford 2, Wolves 1. Armstrong, the former Southampton striker, as we move into 2 added minutes at the end of the first half here at Fratton Park. So, free kick for Derby to be taken by the goalkeeper O'Donnell, midway inside his own half. Flicked on by Agyemang. Schmodix is appealing for a corner. I think it would have gone behind for that had Terry Devlin not side-footed it out for a throw on the far touchline. And Pompey with defending to do right at the end of the half here, having narrowly avoided conceding the second goal, saved by the inside of Nicolas Schmidt's post. I've not seen a replay, but I don't think it was brilliant goalkeeping from the Austrian when the shot first came in. And here comes the throw from that far side, the left for Derby, towards Dion Sanderson up from the back. Cleared back out to that far touchline. Cross back in, looking for Agyemang. Headed away by Ebu Adams, who's worked tirelessly in midfield for the home side. And now Derby have it inside their own half with Joe Ward, the fullback. Little clip down the right touchline for Brereton, who was too strong in the challenge for the referee's liking as he tussled there with Zach Swanson. Home fans reminding Brereton of his Southampton connections on loan from the Saints. Just along the M27, it's going to be a free kick for Portsmouth in their left-back position, and one last chance to get the ball forward before half-time.
I mean, they're 1-0 up coming into half-time now, Derby, but they haven't done it all their own way. You know, I don't think they've created as many chances as they would have liked, and certainly when they've got the ball to Agyemang, one-on-one, he looks a threat. You know, and I think they've nearly conceded a second goal through him on the break there, so they've got to be careful of that. But overall, I think he'll be happy to get in at 1-0, the Portsmouth manager, because this could have been worse.
Schmidt with a long punt upfield, headed away by Sanderson under pressure from Brown. 15 seconds of stoppage time to play. Portsmouth looking to launch one last attack here. It's back with Pack though, just inside the Derby half of the field, and as he's closed down, he runs it back into his own half, and there's the half-time whistle. Boos from the home supporters on a night when Portsmouth are looking to put clear daylight between them and the bottom three. They got off to the worst possible start. Sammy Schmodix making it a century of league goals in his career after a half-cleared corner. That's the goal that separates the two sides, but in truth, Alvin, Derby have been a cut above the hosts.
Yeah, they've got that extra bit of quality, as we've seen, and that's the difference between the two sides, isn't it? You know, sticking the ball in the back of the net. They've huffed and they've puffed and they put the energy and the effort into it, Portsmouth, but it's a team bereft of confidence. You can see the options for the man on the ball, and right at the end there, just before the whistle went, he's got the ball back, he's got nobody on. The boos were starting to air, the frustration was starting to air itself, and down there in the dressing room, certainly the Portsmouth manager's got the more difficult job trying to lift this team and trying to instill a little bit of confidence in them.
Yeah, big team talk for John Massinio. Big decisions maybe as well in terms of personnel, having left the only real striker Colby Bishop out of the starting 11. That move at the moment looks like it will backfire. As it stands, courtesy of that early Schmodix goal, Derby are going within 3 points of the top six. Half-time at Fratton Park. It is Portsmouth 0, Derby County 1.
Almost the kind of evening not to read you the stats, because when you hear them, you wonder what kind of game we were listening to. Pompey with 68% possession, 10 shots, 4 of those on target, only an expected goals of 0.37, which maybe tells you a more accurate story. 0.47 for Derby County, who've had 6 shots, 3 of those on target, 2 big chances in the game to Portsmouth's none. We could have expected more. I don't think so. I think this is just about as cagey as you might expect, given what's at stake for both sides. Alvin, 8 minutes on the clock, and maybe we thought we'd get a more open game, but it was Sammy Smodic with a lovely finish to put Derby in front, and Lee Phelps of William Hill had his 9-2 shot very early indeed. And you thought maybe Derby were going to go on from there and go up a gear or two and get the second goal and take real command of the game. But it's been the opposite. They've almost allowed Portsmouth to build in confidence.
Yeah, but I think a lot of the stuff that Portsmouth are doing is all in front of that back line of Derby because they are lacking confidence and they're lacking, that presence up front. Hugh, where you can get it into a player, he'll hold it and he'll shield it, and then people then can run off him. The ball goes into Bramwell, it hasn't gone into him hardly at all, and you can't build anything. So you're going wide. The only chance they've had is getting Ali or Cabero on the left hand side, getting them on the ball where they can actually go and take somebody on. And they've got a degree of confidence about them. But right at the end there, Ali, I don't know what he was doing. He ran with the ball and he just passed it to a Derby player. And then all of a sudden, they nearly conceded from it. That would have been the nail in the coffin for Portsmouth. But as it was, it hit the inside of the post, Agyemang, and they're still in the game, very much in the game. But I think Mousinho would have just been delighted to get them in only 1-0 down because you could, if a second goal did go in, the crowd would turn, the game becomes even more difficult. And believe me, this is a difficult game. I feel sorry for some of these Portsmouth players. There's nothing worse, Hugh, than having to play a big game in front of a big crowd and you're all lacking confidence. The man on the ball has never got options. When a team's playing well, you get a ball and you've got 4 people who want the ball off you. Tonight, I'm seeing players get the ball and they haven't got an option on. They're having to play a ball, backwards, or certainly just play a hopeful ball forward.
What have you made of Portsmouth, generally speaking? They went 1 down. What's the response been like?
Well, I think they've done well because, you look at the possession. They've had lots of ball, but they haven't really fashioned any sort of real opening. They haven't had a quality chance because of that. The risk goes out your game. We were talking about it with Alex. I can see Chapman with the ball, and whereas normally you transfer the ball through for a runner, he doesn't want to do that because if it gets cut out, he feels that the crowd are going to be on his back. So he plays safe, and the safer you play, the more easy it is to defend against. And they've had a pretty easy time of it. I don't think they've really been able to challenge O'Donnell, the keeper that's come in, and he's been rock solid in what he's had to deal with. But they haven't really given him anything to think about in terms of difficulty.
Derby County hit the post from a very tight angle from Agyemang just before the break. They haven't really, it's not been an onslaught by any stretch of the imagination in terms of pushing for that second goal. How important is it? I think you've already underlined it, right? If they can get that second goal, they'll probably be going home with all 3 points. Yeah,
I just feel at this moment in time that they're cruising a little bit, Derby. And they're thinking, okay, well, we can nick a goal. Smodic or certainly Agyemang. You feel because they're coming on to us, we get the ball to him. He can run, and he's taken Poole on a couple of times. Got the other side of him once, but I've got to say Poole has come back in tonight, and Portsmouth should be thankful for him because he's made 2 or 3 really timely interceptions, and he's been up for the battle with Agyemang. He really has. But sooner or later, you feel the more that they go for it, Portsmouth, the more space that's in behind. Agyemang will undo them. He certainly will have another chance, and if he hits the back of the net and makes it 2, I think the crowd will turn then.
That's the voice of Alvin Martin, West Ham, an England defender and legend, of course. We'll be back with him and Alex Crook very, very shortly. Just a reminder, over on Talksport 2, Adam Armstrong reduced arrears for Wolves after Michael Coyote and Igor Thiago had put Brentford 2 up. It's Brentford 2, Wolves 1, live and exclusive Premier League action over on Talksport right now. At the break for us, it was an early goal inside 8 minutes for Sammy Smodic. That means Derby County lead away at Portsmouth by 1-0, but they will need the second, I feel, if they're going to go home with all 3 points to squeeze in on the playoff places. We'll have the second half live and exclusive here on Talksport 2 very shortly.
EFL Live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. The Big Arch is here to stay at McDonald's with its very own delicious sauce. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
It's even bigger than that full house decorating job you've got on. Or that 30-foot high ceiling you've got to paint. It's the Johnston's Decorating Centre Big Sale event with huge savings and multi-buy deals like Cover Plus Vinyl Matte, 10 litre Brilliant White or Magnolia, any 2 for £70. And don't forget to ask what you get free when you buy 3 on selected lines. So get to your local Johnston's Decorating Centre now or visit johnstonsdc.com. T's and C's apply. Prices exclude VAT at 20%.
Go from bucket list to booked with EasyJet. Get package holidays from £319 per person and flights from £32 one way. So stop dreaming, stop scrolling, stop umming and ahhing. Book now at easyjet.com and get your holidays sorted today. Get out there. Selected dates and flights April to September. Limited availability. Holidays ATOL protected. T's and C's apply.
Do you belong here? Next to me, about to jump into the sea on an army coast-steering expedition. What's your gut saying? Walk away from the edge? Or jump in and join a team that will be by your side for life? Still listening? You belong here. Army, recruiting now. Search Army jobs.
At Quick Fit, our customers drive away happy every time. Do we tell them jokes? No. All right. We just do our job, but don't take our word for it. Take the word of thousands of excellent customer reviews on Google and Trustpilot. There's loads. That's why our customers drive away happy. Quick Fit. Drive away happy every time.
Someone in the UK has got that Euro Millions feeling because they have won the incredible £181 million Euro Millions jackpot. I reckon they've had a bit of a dance. All around the house, then out the door, down the path and into the street. For all we know, they're probably still dancing. Go on, guys. Get that Euro Millions feeling. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
To succeed in professional sport, it takes a combination of skill, talent, and most of all, heart. Listen to Talksport at Drive when Andy Goldstein and Darren Bent are joined by some of the sportsmen and women who have been personally affected by heart conditions. The Heart of the Matter on Talksport with British Heart Foundation, powering life-saving research that keeps people with their loved ones for longer. Donate now at bhf.org.uk and keep us beating.
Every emotion and total devotion.
It's game on.
This is Talksport 2.
Weld your radio to your ears for a Wednesday night triple on the Talksport network. From 5:45, Barcelona face Newcastle on Talksport. At 8, Liverpool take on Galatasaray on Talksport. With Spurs versus Atletico Madrid on Talksport 2. It's a wide lord Wednesday night of Champions League football on the Talksport network.
Talksport.com, the football website with Wallop. Get fixtures, tables, transfer news and insider team talk. Flaming reaction, biting comment, crunchy opinions, plus see tons of funny Talksport stuff you can't watch anywhere else. Visit Talksport.com, the football website with Wallop. Available on the internet now.
Feel the power and the glory.
It's goal time.
And he scored. It's a brilliant goal.
Fired up and raring to go. EFL Live
On Talksport 2.
It is sure to be a fight to the bitter end, both for survival and a place in the playoffs. There are a queue of 4 or 5 white jerseys camped around about the 6-yard mark. It's over the head of Brereton. Not a brilliant header clear. And Schmodix with a shot. Fired in. And Derby County take the lead inside 8 minutes.
So clinical from Schmodix. He controls it with his left foot and just bends it right foot into that bottom right-hand corner.
And it's a landmark moment for Sammy Schmodix, his 100th career league goal. And here's Ajimang coming forward at the other end. Can Derby get a second before half-time? Ajimang into the penalty area, through the legs of the goalkeeper, hits the post, and then just about Pompey managed to get it clear. Oh, that was almost an almighty mess. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1.
Sammy Smolich's goal early in the first half means that Derby County lead away at Portsmouth by a goal to nil. If they can hang on for victory, they'll close the gap to the top 6 in the Championship to just 3 points and leave Pompey deep in relegation trouble. Second half, though, to come. Things could change at Fratton Park. You're listening to EFL Live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m. It's 18 plus. Fees applied to delivery orders subject to availability and prices may vary. Now, there is live football throughout the week across the Talksport network. Tomorrow our focus will turn to the Champions League on the network. Manchester City and Chelsea back on home turf, but they've got it all to do. I think that's an understatement if they're to have any hope of reaching the quarterfinals.
Pitage, chipped in Valverde trying to help it on. There is his hat-trick. Manchester City's Champions League hopes in rack and ruin before half-time in the first leg.
We've been taught a lesson tonight, Manchester City.
We'll be there, we will try with our people, and at the end, we will try.
Kvaratskhelia up to the edge of the area, right-footed shot. Oh, what a brilliant goal!
Very close to being an outstanding team, but we have to overcome this hurdle.
Ayulu at the back post, Kvaratskhelia! It's
3-2 ain't a disaster. 4-2 is bordering on disaster. 5-2 is a disaster.
It's not over. It's not over yet. We've seen amazing turnarounds in football. Fight towards goal by Aspilicueta. Barra's there! And Barra scored! And Chelsea most certainly need that.
Talksport 2 is going to be live from Stamford Bridge tomorrow evening with live commentary of Chelsea's round of 16 second leg tie. They currently trail PSG by 5 goals to 2. Plenty of work for Liam Rosenior's men to do, and the Chelsea boss admits that small mistakes are letting his team down.
If you look at the game in isolation, you look at the scoreline, we were punished by some very good players by our mistakes. And for us, I think it's been a theme. I think we performed consistently very well, but we've been undone in games by moments of focus or concentration. For us to go through the tie tomorrow, we need to be perfect in terms of not making mistakes, in terms of our performance in possession, our possession. We have to remember that PSG are the European champions for a reason, but we've also shown in times that we can definitely compete and beat them in games, in isolated games.
Chelsea against Paris Saint-Germain live here tomorrow night on Talksport 2. 8 o'clock kickoff in that one. Same to at the Emirates over on Talksport tomorrow night. Arsenal 1, Leverkusen 1 after the first leg in Germany. We will also, of course, be live on Wednesday night with a couple of big games from the Champions League as well. 2 games on Talksport, one at 5:45 as Newcastle go to the Camp Nou to face Barcelona, level on aggregate as well. Liverpool will try and overturn a 1-goal deficit at home to Galatasaray at 8 p.m. Here on Talksport 2, Tottenham against Atletico Madrid would be a miracle if they can turn around their 5-2 deficit from the first half. Thursday night, the Europa League and Conference League returned at Midtjylland against Nottingham Forest here on Talksport 2 from 5:45. Aston Villa face Lille on Talksport. That's an 8 p.m. kickoff. I'm with you on Friday night for exclusive Premier League action on Talksport as Manchester United go to Bournemouth. Here on Talksport 2, we'll have exclusive Championship action as Preston North End host Stoke. So, as I say, a very busy week indeed. It has all begun at Fratton Park tonight, where the players look like they're out. A breeze in the evening there. A few words between the players. I'll leave you for the second half. A big 45 minutes on the way. Portsmouth 0, Derby County 1 in the company of the West Ham legend Alvin Martin and the Talksport legend Alex Crook.
Thank you very much, Hugh. You have to go back to January 2008 for the last time Portsmouth beat Derby in a league game. Benjani got a 17-minute hat-trick that day. They're going to have to score at least twice in the second half to end the long wait for victory against the Rams. It will be Derby leading by a 0-0 to get us back off and underway here on Talksport 2, wearing white jerseys, black shorts and white socks, shooting from right to left. Pompey in blue shirts, white shorts and red socks. No change in personnel, so the home side continuing with Schmidt in goal, Devlin, Paul, Ogilvie and Swanson the back four, Pack and Adams in front of them, Caballero, Chaplin and Ali in behind, Jacob Brown up front for Derby, O'Donnell in goal, Ward, Clark, Sanderson and Murk in the back four, Bobby Clark and Travis in midfield, Brereton, Schmodix the goal scorer and Brewster are in behind Patrick Ajimang, and straight away Derby have a free kick inside the centre circle. Alvin Martin is alongside me. Are you surprised that John Mousinho hasn't made any changes?
I don't think he's got that many options, really, Alex. And looking at the real problem is that front player. You've made a change. Do you leave it? Do you bring him back on? I think if he does bring him on, I think he maybe will have a point to prove, Bishop. So we shall see. But certainly there was booze at the end of that half, which wouldn't have been nice for them.
Free kick put into the area, headed on by Matt Clark against his old club, cleared away by Paul, and then Pompey looking to counter. Strong play by Ibu Adams, and he's coming forward now down the right hand side. Not too many options in the penalty area, but he does get a cross in, and wasn't a bad delivery. Cleared away as far as Connor Chaplin, and then an opportunity for Adams to get a shot away that's blocked on the edge of that 18-yard box away to our right. And here is Ali down the Pompey right, holding off the attentions of his man, and then slamming the cross against Rian Brewster behind for an early corner for Portsmouth at the start of this second half.
One thing is for sure, you sometimes can turn a game not just by skill, and a pass or a great goal. You can turn it by sheer effort, an endeavour, and the crowd will respond to that. And they've had a good start to the second half, really, haven't they, Portsmouth? Putting pressure and running and tackling.
Chaplin to play in this corner from the right-hand side in front of the travelling Derby supporters. Oh, that's almost an own goal. I think it was off Ben Brereton back towards his own net, but straight into the arms of a grateful O'Donnell. He bowls it out to the right-back Ward, and now back with the former Birmingham man, Dion Sanderson. 1-0 to Derby. We've played a couple of minutes in the second half here on Talksport. 2 half-time over on Talksport. Brentford 2, Wolves 1. Commentary from the G-Tech continues, and then 5 Champions League games, 2 from the Europa League over the next 3 nights on the Talksport network. And we're at Wembley on Sunday. The first piece of silverware of the season will be handed out. It's Arsenal against Manchester City in the League Cup final. When you feel an opportunity maybe for Arsenal to inflict psychological damage on the team trying to chase them down at the top of the table. Here's Ali trying to inflict damage on this Derby defence, but well defended by the left-back Merkin, and then cleared upfield by Matt Clark. Marlon Pack with a header, brings it down midway inside the Derby half of the field, and then strong challenge by Devlin to keep Pompey on the front foot. Adams helps it forward. Here is Ibu Adams, shoots from the edge of the area. Goalkeeper scampering to his right, always wide, and behind for a goal kick.
He's had a good game, Adams, midfield. You can see he's highly motivated. Just never really looked like he was going to get the power generated on his weaker left side there, did he? But, he is somebody that's covered the ground, and he's certainly been motivated and up for this game.
A crowd of 19,253 inside Fratton Park this evening, including 1,311 who've made the trek down from Derbyshire for this Monday night game in the Championship. At the moment, those visiting fans will be feeling the journey has been well worthwhile. They lead by a goal to nil, but it's been a better start to the second half for Portsmouth as Caballero keeps the ball in play over on the far left-hand side. Pompey attacking in Milton end in this second half. Deep cross towards the far post. Ali was rising but can only divert his header away from goal and behind for a goal kick. It stays 1-0 Derby.
Again, no conviction on the cross there, Alex. From that left-hand side, it's just played in there, isn't it? And they haven't got the height, they haven't got the physical presence in there. So the ball has got to be whipped in. It's got to be a quality ball. But certainly, again, I'm a little surprised they haven't put O'Connell under more pressure. He's come in, the ball's been laid back to him, and I think it's up to Brown really to press and try and put him under pressure on that left foot of his.
And for all that we've said about Pompey's lack of goals this season, only 3 teams in the Championship coming into this weekend had attempted more shots than John Mousinho's side. So it's not necessarily a problem creating chances, it's a problem putting the ball in the back of the net. Here they come down their left-hand side. That looked like a foul, and a free kick has indeed been given down by the left corner flag. Immediately, Conor Ogilvie and Regan Paul sprint forward from their defensive positions to try and get on the end of this cross.
I think sometimes when you're not playing well as well, you're not going to score the pretty goals. You've got to score the untidy ones. Like from this sort of situation, just get your head on the ball. Even if you can't get a goal, don't let anyone else win it. And then react to the second ball, and if it's a scruffy goal, so be it.
And they've certainly got plenty of aerial threats forward here. Portsmouth lined up on the edge of the 6-yard box, attacking the goal away to our right. And I think the ball's just going to be whipped in from that left-hand side to around about the 6-yard box, maybe to try and test if O'Donnell wants to try and come and claim it. And in fact, it goes all the way through and almost headed off the line. Chaplin shoots from the edge of the area, deflects, and it's behind for another corner for Portsmouth. It's been a really bright start to the second half. Whatever John Massinio said at half-time, Alvin, appears to have had the desired effect.
Yeah, it's been a bright start. And that was an excellent delivery, wasn't it, from Swanson on that left-hand side. He's got a nice left foot, and that really was, into an area where the keeper couldn't come and claim it.
The Pompey chimes ring out again as the corner from the left is looped up towards the 6-yard box. Hooked clear by the goal scorer for Derby, Schmodix, and in the end, Pompey have to go all the way back to Nicholas Schmidt, their goalkeeper. He's urged to get it forward as quickly as possible by the disgruntled home supporters. He responds to that, but in the end it's helped behind for a goal kick for Derby, and it stays 1-0 for the visitors.
One thing is for sure, it's unthinkable really from Portsmouth's point of view that if they were to lose this, was that 4 in a row that they've lost here at home, and that in itself would raise alarms, wouldn't it? It really would.
And it'd be no wins in 5 as well, all told. And they've got a trip to Queen's Park Rangers this weekend. Big doubleheader, of course, over the Easter period. Always such a critical time in the EFL. As O'Donnell, the goalkeeper, gets plenty of distance on the kick upfield, helped on by Ajimang. Ryan Brewster can't bring it under control. It's cleared away by Regan Paul, who has had an excellent game on his return from injury. And Ali here looking to chase it down the right-hand side and get into a crossing position. Matt Clark comes sliding in. He's going to get a yellow card here for the late tackle, the Pompey old boy.
Yeah, he was treading water there, wasn't he, the centre-half? You can see, over 15 yards, I can see him really stretching every fibre of his hamstrings. And Ali just had a little bit too much pace for him.
And he has looked a threat, hasn't he, Millie Ali, when they've been able to get the ball to him.
At strategic moments, though, he just hasn't made the most of it, Alex. That one moment in the first half where he looked like he was away and he just passed it to one of the opposition players. And, that got a ferocious response, didn't it? And it does knock the stuffing out of you, confidence-wise.
Into the 9th minute of the second half. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Free kick, though, for the visitors. Connor Chaplin stands over the ball, just a few yards shy of the right corner flag. Once again, Ogilvie has come forward, so too Regan Paul. Marlon Pack bouncing around on the edge of the 6-yard box as well. The goalkeeper O'Donnell trying to command his line. Chaplin with the left-footed in-swinging delivery, good header clear. And then an effort from a long way out is well wide of the target from the right-back Devlin. And a goal kick for Derby. Their 1-0 lead remains intact.
And again, we've seen the effort put in. The Portsmouth manager, John Massinio, would have certainly said the right things at half-time. But he just hasn't got the quality that you want to be able to be on the end of some of this endeavour. I'd say it's endeavour that we're seeing really from Portsmouth. Motivated and hard work, but that lack of quality is evident.
O'Donnell again, whose distribution has been decent all night, gets lots of distance on that goal kick. Asherman can't bring it down, cleared up towards the halfway line by Paul. Clark stoops and heads it back into Portsmouth territory, and then it goes long up to look at Brown, who's in a wrestling match with Sanderson. Well, the referee has given the Derby man the benefit of the doubt. The home fans not happy at all about that. North John Massinio in the ear of the 4th official down below us. Looked at a 50-50 challenge, didn't it?
Yeah.
And Anthony Backhouse gives the free kick the way of Derby County.
Well, there's no complaint really from Brown. He's having a token moan there, but I could see that there might have been 6 of one and half a dozen the other. But I think the referee's got that right.
Portsmouth 0, Derby 1 here on Talksport 2. Derby looking to go within 3 points of the playoffs. Pompey just a point above the bottom 3 as it stands. Big wins at the weekend for Blackburn away from home at Millwall, and West Bromwich Albion, who beat Hull by 3 goals to nil. It was only really Leicester losing at home to QPR, Pompey's next opponents, that went the home side's way tonight. Here's Chaplin over the halfway line, looking to release Brown. cleared by Sanderson, and then Clark had to get there ahead of the speedster. Ali just helps it back to his goalkeeper. O'Donnell didn't look particularly confident. O'Donnell's clearance into the centre circle, nodded forward by Ibu Adams, and then Regan Paul looking to launch it down the left-hand side. And the goalkeeper O'Donnell content to let that run out of play and behind for a goal kick for Derby.
It's painful at times, Alex. I remember, during my playing days, playing in sides that were bereft of confidence and lacking a forward that you feel has got any confidence, and it doesn't look like you're going to hit the back of the net, and you think, we need 2 goals, because this, a draw won't be good enough, I think, for either team, will it? They both need to win this game.
Actually, 6 of the last 7 meetings between the pair have ended in stalemate, but you're right, in terms of league position, wouldn't really put much daylight between Pompey and the relegation places, and would leave Derby 5 points adrift of the top 6. Well, I think if you offer John Messinio a point right now, he'd probably take it. His team trailing by a goal to nil, as they have done since the 8th minute. Sammy Schmodix with his 100th career league goal. And the veteran O'Donnell coming in for only his 2nd championship start of the season this evening. Hasn't had too many saves to make. He's on the ball now, the Derby keeper, just outside the penalty area. Forward towards Ajimang, helped on to Rian Brewster. Brewster brings it down on the edge of the penalty area. He just slowed the game down there. He's drew the foul, Brewster. I think he could have been a lot more positive.
I still think that they're cruising a little bit here, Derby. They're more or less saying, we don't think you can score. But I think you need to kill a game off when you're in a position where you've got more artillery, more firepower than the opposition. You've got to give them better service and be more positive.
Well, it's a free kick for Derby in a good position here. Around about 23, 24 yards out. It's a central position, so they can go either side of the 4-man Pompey wall. The goalkeeper Schmidt at the moment is crouched on his right-hand post. Looks like Joe Ward up from the back. Maybe fancies a strike here. Coming in right-footed from the left-hand side. He would probably be the favourite. Big moment here. 13 minutes into the second half. Ward takes the free kick and it hits the underside of the crossbar. Schmidt was rooted to the spot. Derby inches away from a second goal.
Wow, that was as close as it gets. When it hits the bar and it goes directly down onto the goal line and out to safety, and Schmidt just looked at it, didn't he? He was nowhere near it. Great free kick.
Well, they've got another free kick here, Derby, for a foul on the corner of the penalty area this time. Referee getting a lot of abuse from those Pompey fans in the Fratton end away to our left. And it's too tight an angle for a shot, but they've got an opportunity here maybe to get a cross into the penalty area. That frame of Schmidt's goal probably is still shaking. It was a real peach of a strike from Ward, who has a couple of goals to his name this season, wasn't too far away from the 3rd. There'll be a Derby change in just a moment, but not until after this free kick is taken. They're queuing up at the far post. Ward with the delivery. Good header away. And picked up inside the centre circle by Schmodix, their goal scorer, and he goes back to O'Donnell. Oscar Fraulo is the player that's been readied by John Eustace, watching from the stands, to come on. The Dane, signed from Borussia Mönchengladbach over in Germany in January for 250 grand. Maybe that's a reaction to the fact that Pompey have had the best of the opening 15 minutes in the second half. They still trail though by a goal to nil here on Talksport 2. Over on Talksport, still Brentford 2, Wolverhampton Wanderers 1 in the Premier League. Here's Ali, right corner of the penalty area, trying to dance away from the attentions of Merkin, then pokes it back to Ibu Adams. Little flick over the top from him, but too much pace on the pass, and it's behind for a goal kick for Derby, and here comes the Rams change.
Nice little dink there from Adams. He's been everywhere tonight, and he's really given everything for Portsmouth.
It's Rian Brewster who is replaced by Fraulo. What did you make of Brewster's performance this evening, Alvin Martin?
Well, I think the fact that he's coming off tells you that he hasn't had much impact on the game, has he? I think when you look at Agyemang, I think he's smart. We have, he's been the difference between the two teams. The finish was top class, wasn't it? To put them 1-0 up, they haven't really been able to build on that. And he's had a couple of chances, but he's been kept really quiet in this second half. Agyemang.
There is movement on the Pompey bench as well. Looks like they're going to make a couple of changes. I think John Swift will be the first to be introduced by John Massinio. I think a lot of people thought he might get the nod ahead of Connor Chaplin this evening in that number 10 position, but not to be. Are we going to see Colby Bishop anytime soon, you wonder? Portsmouth trailing by a goal to 0. Just over an hour gone, and Pompey have got a free kick here for a foul on Paul inside their own half. And the ball played out to the left-hand side. It's going to be Conor Shaughnessy, the defender, who is coming on, actually. You wonder if that's a reflection of the fact that Regan Paul maybe not fit enough to play the full 90 and just come back from injury. Otherwise, it would be surprising. 1-0 down at home, changing a defender.
Yeah, unless he went three at the back and then put the two full-backs forward.
Well, they're coming forward here with Devlin. Devlin stabs it down inside the penalty area. Ali with the opportunity to cross, but rather turned into trouble. And then he's been tackled inside the penalty area, and the last touch was off the Portsmouth man and behind for a goal kick. Again, didn't seem to have the confidence to get the ball in early. Connor Chaplin's night is over. John Swift, another local boy, is coming on for him. And I played the bulk of his career, unlike Chaplin, away from Fratton Park. And it's Zach Swanson who is replaced by Connor Shaughnessy. So maybe you're right, Alvin. Maybe there could be a potential change of system. Well, it looks like Conor Ogilvie actually has just gone across the left back, and Shaughnessy to resume what I think is probably Portsmouth's best centre-back pairing alongside Regan Paul. If you're Colby Bishop down there, having been dropped from the starting lineup, are you chomping at the bit to get on at this stage?
Yeah, I think so.
Sanderson has collided with his own goalkeeper on the edge of the penalty area. He's come off worse as O'Donnell just boots the ball to safety with Jacob Brown bearing down. But there was a real lack of communication between centre-back and keeper.
That's the one that we were talking about before the game. When you haven't played as a keeper, when do you leave the ball alone? When do you come? And once he'd come into that area, he had to go all the way, O'Donnell. And he cleared the mess up. Let's just say that he made a little bit of a mess himself, and he cleared it up. So he's cleared the ball out to safety, but Sanderson, the centre half, isn't too happy. He's just got to his feet. He really got clobbered.
Well, he's cleaned himself out as well, Sanderson, but he's back to his feet now. And Portsmouth have a throw on the far side, the left. 1-0 Derby lead, but Pompey knocking on the door since the start of this second half. Cross from Ogilvie and headed by Brown straight into the arms of O'Donnell at the near post, but that was a better delivery.
Yeah, it went straight into the keeper's arms, didn't it? They were a little unlucky with that. I think, making the change as well, getting some height on. Maybe he feels that he can get something maybe from a free kick or a corner. He's got extra height now.
Ibu Adams with the ball out to Ali. Ali coming down the right-hand side. Cross takes a deflection. Clark nods it clear, and then there's a half scorpion kick by Ibu Adams to try and keep the ball in play on the far side, and that's only resulted in a Derby counter-attack, and the goalkeeper is off his line, and the shot from the full-back Ward is straight into Nicholas Smith's arms. I mean, it's the second ambitious effort we've seen tonight to chip the goalkeeper, one for either team.
Ambitious is one word, foolhardy is another.
Portsmouth 0, Derby 1, with the home finds growing in voice in this second half, growing in belief that the team scrapping away at the bottom of the table can find an equaliser. Here comes Ogilvie, their longest serving player down the left-hand side. Infield to Ibu Adams. Man on is the cry, and then Jacob Brown gives it away very cheaply on the edge of the Derby penalty area. And to his credit, Terry Devlin comes flying in with a challenge on Agyemang to win it back.
I'll tell you that the two centre halves for Derby have had an easy night, haven't they? Brown's not a centre forward.
Swift, 5 yards outside the penalty area, pokes his pass into Ibu Adams. Brown sliding in to try and return the ball to Adams. It's played out to the right, and Ali instead. Ali onto his left foot, gets the shot away low, but the wrong side of the post from the edge of the area behind for a goal kick for Derby, who lead 1-0.
Well, that's worth a goal. You know, he has got some pace about him, Ali, and he can make himself half a yard. Whether or not he's got a finish, I don't know. But you know, he's had a shot with his left foot after cutting inside there, and it was about a yard wide of the target. But you know, it's worth a go, and it gets a little bit of applause from the crowd. And he looks to be their best bet, really, on a one-on-one situation.
You are listening to EFL Live on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. Order delivery on the McDonald's app from 11 a.m, 18 plus. Fees apply to delivery orders, subject to availability, and prices may vary. Into the final 25 minutes of the game. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Marlon Pack smuggling the ball forward to Swift, who's just come on. Swift rather overran that, and he's gone flying into the challenge to try and win it back. And it's a yellow card for the Portsmouth substitute. The fans don't like it, nor does Swift, but that, from up here in the south stand now, it didn't look particularly pretty from Swift.
Well, I think what it did, it ran away from him, and then what you do is that you know you've had a bad first touch, and you go after the ball, you're desperate to win it back, and there's no doubt about it, it was a foul, and it's a booking. No worse than that. I don't think there's any real intent. But you can see it was the referee was right on it again. I think the referee's made the right decisions many times tonight. I don't think he's had a bad game at all. I'm sure the Portsmouth fans won't agree with me with that one, but I think he's been decent.
Actually, I did exchange messages with my 60-year-old daughter who's watching tonight. Said Portsmouth not been great so far. She said no, but the referee's really bad. And I have to say I didn't necessarily share that opinion. And nor did Alvin Martin alongside me, but that's the life of a football fan, isn't it? Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Live championship football from Fratton Park. Big game at both ends of the table. Derby looking to close in on a playoff place. Pompey looking to put some distance between them and the bottom three. At the moment, it's the Rams coming out on top.
I've got to say, you know, I would look at taking Brown off if it was me. It's easy for me to say my head's not on the block, but you know, he just doesn't look like he's comfortable in that position, Brown.
Caballero to Ogilvie. Man on was the cry, but Ogilvie actually was quite intelligent there, waited for the challenge and content for the ball to go behind for another Portsmouth corner. Don't forget, tomorrow night, live Champions League action right here on Talksport 2. Chelsea PSG is an 8 o'clock kickoff from Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 5-2 down from the first leg in Paris. Here comes the Portsmouth corner. They're 8 for the game. They trail 1-0. Swept in towards the 6-yard box, headed up by Clark and away. Brown trying to keep it alive on the edge of the penalty area, and then Ben Brereton volleys it up to the halfway line, and two Portsmouth players have collided. Schmodik's the goal scorer. Looked like he might be able to race away, but in the end had to turn back into his own half and plays the ball to the ex-Schalke man, Derry Merkin. Two more Derby changes. Next time there's a stoppage in play. Carlton Morris will be coming on. So too David Ozo. Carlton Morris, a teammate of Jacob Brown at Luton last season, as Derby launched the ball long looking for Ajimang. He was in an offside position. Free kick for Portsmouth, and now Derby, I think, will make their changes. John Massinio again is frustrated that Derby stopped the free kick being taken quickly. Devlin, ball forward looking for the run of Brown. Cleared away by Merkin, the left back, and then Ajimang out muscling Marlon Pack, who manages to stick out the toe end of his right boot and just prod the ball back to Regan Paul inside the Portsmouth half. The home side a goal down here, and we're into the final quarter of the match. Good ball down the Portsmouth left hand side, cross over the head of Brown. The goalkeeper thought about coming and didn't, and then the clearance rather up in the air by Merkin before it's carried over the byline by O'Donnell, who made the initial error, and Portsmouth have their ninth corner.
I must say, we haven't seen anything of Ajimang. He was a threat throughout the first half, but they've coped with him really well at the back. Defensively, I don't think there's anything wrong with this Portsmouth side. I think in midfield there's nothing wrong with them. They put a lot of effort in. They've matched their counterparts. It's just up front, isn't it?
Swift with a delivery, headed away at the near post by Sammy Schmodiks. Of all people, then the shot from Ali. That's a really good save down low to his left by O'Donnell. Probably the best piece of goalkeeping he's had to do all night, because that was heading for the bottom corner.
And it was a good save, Alex. That's not a standard save. That's a very, very good save.
Corner for Swift. Plays it to the edge of the penalty area. Ali, who's just come close to the equaliser, can't bringing under control straight away, gets it back from Swift onto his left foot and then plays it out to the edge of the area, back to Swift, who's just taken the corner again. Deep delivery, far too deep. It's almost in the Milton end, in with the Derby fans behind for a goal kick.
That's frustrating. That really is frustrating because you've got all your big boys up there, and a lofted ball that's gone out of play at a crucial time because they were getting ahead of steam up there, Portsmouth.
I mean, you mentioned we've not seen Ajimang in this second half. I would imagine that Carlton Morris is going to come on and replace the number 7. First of all, it's the goal scorer Smodic, though, who makes way for David Ozo. Smodic's getting a warm ovation from the travelling supporters, and yes, indeed, Patrick Ajimang has seen his number come up, and on comes Carlton Morris. Morris actually was a bit of a handful for Premier League defenders when he was at Luton.
Yeah, I think he came on in the last game and also looked a threat. Physically, he holds the ball up, he brings people into play, and I've got to say that I've been impressed with Poole tonight. He really has been outstanding at the back for Portsmouth.
Especially considering that he's just coming back from injury. As you say, defensively, no real issues for Portsmouth, but it's taken until 20 minutes for time for Richard O'Donnell to really have his first save to make, and he made it very well to keep out that shot from Millie Ali. Conor Ogilvie just nodding the ball back to Schmidt on the edge of the Portsmouth penalty area. Pompey staring down the barrel of a 5th successive game without victory. Not what they need at this key period of the season. As Regan Paul slides the ball down the right-hand side, looking for the run of the ever-willing Devlin. And Terry Merkin has to go to ground just to poke the ball out for a throw on this near touchline. Devlin, unsurprisingly, in a hurry to get the game restarted, but in the end he just leaves the ball for Marlon Pack, who's going to launch this long into the air. As you know, he goes short for Paul. Paul looks up, crosses right-footed towards the far post, and it's headed over the top of the crossbar. Jacob Brown with the effort, couldn't keep it down, Alvin.
Yeah, it was never on target, was it? Again, if you get your head to that and you keep it down, it's a problem. But again, there's somebody that really isn't suitable, really, for that sort of scenario. I'm just trying to figure out what he's got, because he hasn't really got bundles of pace where he's going to run in behind anyone. He's obviously not going to hold the ball up and use his physique to hold it. And I think he's had one shot, really, during the game. So I've said it a few minutes ago, Alex, I really would be thinking about making a change there.
Well, at the moment, it doesn't look as if Bishop is going to get on, because Adrian Segicic, the Australian playmaker, is the next substitute that Pompey have got ready for action. Here's Devlin down the right-hand side. Lays the ball back for Ali, who's come as close as anyone to getting the home side back on level terms. They trail 1-0 here on Talksport 2, and the ball is out of play for a Pompey throw. Down by the corner flag on the right touch.
He's had a lot of ball on this right-hand side, hasn't he, Ali? And he has been willing to accept the ball, to take people on. He's taking responsibility.
Throw in for Portsmouth. Pack, the captain, 35 years young, out of contract to the end of the season. Again goes short for Regan Paul. Tricked the Derby defence into thinking they were going to launch it long. Paul with a low cross into the penalty area, only half away. Shaughnessy gets the shot in from the edge of the box, but it's blocked and collected in the centre circle by Terry Devlin. Has been all Portsmouth in the second half in terms of possession, Alvin.
Yeah.
Derby content to sit back and try and see out this 1-0 lead, and Colby Bishop is now ready for action down in front of us. Not before time, I think a lot of Portsmouth fans listening will be thinking. Still got 15 minutes to save themselves here on Talksport 2. I said 15 minutes ago they'd take a point, they definitely would now. As Brereton helps the ball forward towards Merkin. Back to Brereton, left wing position. He's been challenged by Swift. And then Jacob Brown out-muscled by Clark initially. Ali has run into trouble, trying to win it back here on the slide. It's all a bit messy, just inside the Portsmouth half, and Brereton passes the ball straight to Nicholas Schmidt inside the 18-yard box. 1-0 Derby lead.
Well, you can't fault the efforts. They really have. They've given everything tonight, Portsmouth, but you just feel like they're banging their head against the brick wall, don't you? In terms of trying to put, a goal, a marker they're struggling big time. Really, around that final third. The only way I can see is maybe getting a centre half up there. And maybe the best chance really of scoring tonight has been free kicks, corners.
Well, it'd be interesting. You'd imagine Bishop for Brown would be a like-for-like replacement, but do they take off Caballero potentially? I mean, you mentioned Ali's had a lot of ball in the second half. Caballero on the other channel hasn't. Or do they take off one of those defensive midfielders? Does Marlon Pack or Ibu Adams make way? Does he go for broke here, John Massinio, with the second change? The ball is out of play for a goal kick on the left-hand side for Derby.
Yeah, I think they want to stay in the game, and I think it is just getting the centre forward on. Getting the centre forward on and saying, get some balls in the box, and let's hope we get a knockdown, a lucky break somewhere.
Well, it's Millie Ali who goes off, and I think he'll be a bit disappointed, won't he?
Yeah, I am surprised by that.
Because he certainly offered more in this second half than Caballero. But they are also sacrificing one of those holding midfielders, Ibu Adams, against his old club, replaced by Colby Bishop. So this is an old school 4-4-2 now, isn't it, for Pompey?
Yeah. I think Adams has been coming off late in games, hasn't he? During Ramadan has found it really difficult to last the 90, but I thought he's been very good tonight as well.
Just to put it into context, the drop-off in form that Colby Bishop has suffered this season, he scored 11 goals in 32 games last term. He's got 2 in 33 before tonight, this in the Championship. Here's Ozo, having won the ball off the sub-Segacic within seconds of the Australian coming on. Plays it to the Derby right-hand side. The cross is straight into the arms of Schmidt. And then he's been blocked off by Brereton as he looked to get the ball forward quickly. Brereton is shown a yellow card.
He's been poor tonight.
I thought that.
He's certainly got more ability than we've seen tonight, but he's been off the pace, hasn't really got on the ball. I've not seen any real quality from him.
Ben Brereton, who has plied his trade in the Premier League, certainly has been prolific in the Championship, not least when he was at Blackburn Rovers. It's Marlon Pack dropping into that Portsmouth back line here momentarily. Has the ball midway inside the home half of the field. We're into the last 12 minutes of the 90. Derby lead 1-0. Forward to Ogilvie. Ogilvie trying to help it on to Bishop, but it's swept clear by Merkin. Derby sat very deep now, as they have been actually for much of the second half. Here's Regan Paul. Back to Marlon Pack on the edge of the centre circle. Pack wide to Segacic. He was standing off the pitch, Segacic, as he received the pass, and he's carried it out for a throw. I mean, that is a basic error, isn't it?
Crazy. But they're looking. They've got to send up this forward on now, and they're looking square. They've just got to get it wide and get it in the box. They're overcomplicating their times, Portsmouth.
Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Live Championship action here on Talksport 2 from Fratton Park. Pompey continue to dominate possession. Can they create that golden chance of an equaliser? Ogilvie plays it out to his left-hand side. Caballero's deep delivery, headed down by Segacic, corner of the 6-yard box. He had 3 blue shirts in the centre, and he's nodded it straight into the arms of the keeper. Wolves have equalised, by the way, at Brentford over on Talksport. Brentford 2, Wolves 2. They don't know when they're beaten at the moment, do they, Wolves, under Rob Edwards? Cracking game there. This one in the balance as well at Fratton Park. Ozo almost gave the ball away on the edge of his own penalty area. Needed Matt Clark to step in and keep Derby in possession. Then it hits the hand of John Swift, and Derby have a free kick right in the centre of their own half, away to our right.
I've got to say that I think the crowd have been great tonight, because it's so frustrating. I'm getting frustrated watching it from Portsmouth's point of view, so I can only imagine what it's like for the fans, But to see a team that doesn't look like it's got a goal in them, in a precarious position league-wise, it doesn't get any more frustrating than that.
Arokadare with the equaliser for Wolves. They were 2-0 down in that game, 2-2 now at the G-Tech. Pompey still looking to get back on level terms here. Oh, but that's a mazy run into the penalty area, and a shot in the end into the side netting. I've got to say, the footwork to create the chance from Bobby Clark was absolutely terrific.
Well, he's got to do better though. That last bit is the bit that matters, isn't it? He went past Poole, the first mistake I've seen him make tonight, but once you're there, you've got to dink that over the goalkeeper, have a little bit more composure.
Less than 10 minutes to go of the 90. Good ball forward by Pak, picks out Segacic down the right hand side. Segacic plucks the ball superbly from the sky and then plays it back towards halfway, and Paul, I think the Pompey fans wanted him to be a bit more direct there. Here's Caballero on the opposite flank, into the area he comes. Caballero, low ball right along the box. Big chance there for Marlon Pak, shot blocked by Matt Clark on the edge of the area. Picked their way through neatly there, Portsmouth, but Pak couldn't get a shot at goal without it being blocked.
Yeah, well, it fell to him. It was fortunate that it was there, but it was never on. He had to maybe shimmy to have the shot and then take a touch and then move it once more. But once he chose to hit it first time, it was always going to be blocked. But just for a moment there, it looked like it was going to be an opening.
Well, Derby are going to go to their bench again. Craig Forsyth, the veteran Scot, is coming on. And that part of a double substitution. Jayden Burnell, on loan from Burnley, is also stripped and ready for action. They've got a player down at the moment, so there is a stoppage in play. One or two of the Portsmouth players just coming over to take on some water. And Ben Brereton Diaz is going to get dogs abuse, the Southampton loanee, as he makes his way off. Replaced by Burnell. Derry Merkin, here's the man swapping places with Craig Forsyth, the 37-year-old, for the final 8 minutes plus stoppage time. Derby leading 1-0 here at Fratton Park.
It's always a dangerous game, Alex, to get a goal in the first half and then try and hang on to it and hope that's going to be enough. But if there was a team that you wanted to hang on against at this moment in time in this division, it is Portsmouth, isn't it? You do feel that they haven't got a goal in them. They're bereft of creativity and finish.
And it will be another game here at Fratton Park. Not only have they lost, but they've failed to score in. Another change up top for Portsmouth. Mackenzie Kirk, signed from St Johnston, is on for Jacob Brown. And Alvin, to say you've been underwhelmed by Jacob Brown's performance tonight, I think is an understatement.
Yeah, he just didn't ever look like he was going to get into any area that was going to hurt the opposition, And I know that it's a team that's lacking creativity and confidence, and his supply wouldn't have been great. But he just didn't have an awareness about what the position really meant, and he looked like a fish out of water, a midfielder trying to plug a gap up front. Never really believed in that role.
It's not been too often under John Massinio that Portsmouth have lost 4 successive home games, but they are 6.5 minutes plus stoppage time away from doing that. Sammy Schmodix on 8 minutes with the goal that at the moment is going to give Derby 3 vital points in their pursuit of a place in the playoffs come the end of the season. And for all the ball that Pompey have had in the second half, all the endeavour they've shown, only really Millie Alic forcing a save from the goalkeeper, and they could be 2-0 down here as the effort from Burnell is straight down the throat of Schmidt, and he's got a bit overexcited with the ball thrown upfield, but Derby can't keep it. Ozo gave it away. Mackenzie Kirk with a cross into the Derby area to our right, cleared by Matt Clark at the near post, and then Kirk sprints to win it back on halfway. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1 into the final minutes on Talksport 2. Ogilvie with the ball into the area, disappointing. Sanderson doesn't deal with it the first time of asking, and then loops his clearance out to that left-hand side, and Caballero with a hopeful ball, which is intercepted by Ozo. It's all got a bit messy, hasn't it, in the last few moments?
Yeah, it's very untidy, isn't it, the game now? From both teams.
Tired legs and even tireder minds, no doubt, with so much at stake at both ends of the table. And that's the beauty of the Championship, isn't it? There are very few dead rubbers at this time of the season. Pompey just can't keep the ball at the moment. More groans from the home supporters inside Fratton Park as Ozo is able to come forward into Portsmouth territory. Carlton Morris has made a run ahead of him, plays it out to the left-hand side instead, and then the dink into the penalty area is too close to Schmidt, and he bowls it out to Marlon Pack in midfield for Portsmouth. Pack up to halfway, slides the ball to Devlin, and Devlin's been cynically brought down there. Bobby Clark stopping the counter-attack and picking up a booking for his troubles. And then one of the Derby players frustrates the home supporters because he was keeping hold of the ball as they wanted to take the free kick.
I mean, this is the only way I can see him scoring, you know, getting the ball into the box. He's got a lot of big players out there now, height-wise.
Ball rolled down the right-hand side. Caballero with a cross into the penalty area. Arriving late, I think, was Shocklessy up from the back. The ball is behind for a corner. Could have been so much more. They're almost into double figures now, Portsmouth, in terms of these corners. John Swift to take the latest with 3 minutes only remaining. Derby leading 1-0 as they have for a long time in this game. Swift with the ball into the penalty area. It's a teasing delivery. It's not clear yet. Again, it was Shocklessy and missed the header at the near post. That was a chance, Alvin. Great delivery.
It was. You know, a clear header. But again, it's you know, I think you just got to believe. You know, the execution it's just not there. You know, it's so frustrating for them. You know, I mean, effort-wise tonight, you'd have to say they deserve a share of the spoils. I don't think they've done enough to win the game, but you know, they've taken the game to Derby in the second half, but never really looked like opening them up. I can remember one save really by O'Donnell, you know, a really good save down to his left. Apart from that, he's been well protected.
Yellow card for Joe Ward for not taking a throw in quickly enough. Shows you that Derby are just trying to manage this game out now. It's a long way to come at a Monday night, but looks like it's going to be a very fruitful trip for John Eustace's side. A lot of people asked some questions, didn't they? Not least their own Simon Jordan when he swapped Blackburn for Derby last season. But well, I think the move has paid off, and some. When you look at where Blackburn are in the table now, just above Portsmouth in that relegation battle, and Derby with eyes potentially on a return to the promised land of the Premier League. Here is Conor Ogilvie, midway inside the Derby half. Maybe an opportunity for Caballero to get a shot away inside the penalty area. Tries to cross it, headed away by Clark. Again, I think the home fans felt they could have worked the keeper there, and then Caballero's cross is blocked out for a throw-in by the veteran Forsyth. Less than 2 minutes of normal time to play. I think the stewards there have just got the word from the fourth official. There are going to be 5 added on at the end of the 90 at the moment. We'll get confirmation. Devlin with a cross into the penalty area, and it was nodded down. But straight into the arms of the goalkeeper O'Donnell. I think it might have been Ogilvie up from the back who got his head on that.
He's been a calm presence, hasn't he, in that goal? You know, O'Donnell, he hasn't had a lot to do. He's done what he's had to do. But he's had the one moment when he came out and got away with that one. But, you know, overall, I think he's been really rock solid.
Long throw in by Forsyth. Brought down by Bobby Clark. There was a bit of wrestling going on there between Devlin and Morris. Morris can't quite believe he's not got the free kick. He was clearly hauled to the ground by the Portsmouth defender, but play continues, and we're into the final minute of the 90. Pompey 0, Derby 1 on Talksport 2. Marlon Pack with the ball on halfway. Over the halfway line comes Regan Paul. Out to Devlin on this near side, the right. You've just got to be getting bodies forward here to try and lay siege on the Derby 18-yard box for the moments that remain. Ball in towards Bishop at the near post. Ogilvie heads it down inside that penalty area. Marlon Pack picks it up just outside the box, but he's been dispossessed by Ozo. I think he's had a difficult night at times, Marlon Pack as well. You can hear the crowd just starting to get on his back there. The skipper, as Pompey have it back with Paul just inside their own half, and he's given it away to Burnell. Burnell into the penalty area. 6 added minutes indicated. But now with the ball to the near post, flick goal was by Morris, but behind for a goal kick.
Well, it's all hands on deck now. I mean, they just look like they've run out of steam. They've put a lot of effort into the second half. Portsmouth, credit to them, they've kept going, but the lack of quality is so obvious.
Deep cross in from Chaplin, looking for Mackenzie Kirk inside the 6-yard box, but again, safe pair of hands from the goalkeeper O'Donnell, who's gone down under the faintest contact from Mackenzie Kirk. But if you're a Derby fan, you're not going to complain, Alvin.
No, that's right. He caught it. I think there was some slight contact, but look, he's an experienced goalkeeper. To be fair, he hasn't been guilty of wasting time. You see some keepers catching a ball, going to their knees. He hasn't done any of that. I don't think he's had to. I don't think Derby have had to. I don't think they've ever really felt under that much threat, Alex.
Yeah, that lack of cutting edge that has haunted Pompey for much of the season in full evidence here at Fratton Park tonight, because they have been the dominant force in terms of possession in the second half, but have never really looked like getting that equalising goal. Still time. We've played the first of the 6 added on at the end of the 90. Derby leading 1-0 as Segicic is brought down. So it's another yellow card. Those are mounting up. Lewis Travis, no surprise, his name has been taken. That's his 9th booking of the season. The former Blackburn man, he's been sent off on one occasion as well. And it's a free kick for Pompey, almost plumb centre in the Derby half. Not an easy delivery, this, is it? Too central almost.
No, it's got to go wide. I'd be surprised if he tries to put that in so straight. Looks like he is going to do that.
Tip to the left-hand side of the penalty area. Sanderson with a header clear for Derby. Swift gets it back again and then drills his pass out to Caballero, right corner of the 18-yard box. Caballero onto his left foot. Cleared as far as Swift. You can hear the cry of shout from the Pompey fans, but instead they've recycled possession out to the right. And Caballero again. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Deep into stoppage time at Fratton Park. Devlin linking up with Caballero. Caballero's cross steered away by Clark. Under no real pressure at the near post. Then Bobby Clark, in trying to run it clear, felt he was brought down. That was definitely a foul on Devlin. And it's a free kick for Portsmouth, 2 yards in from the touchline. Goalkeeper Schmidt, I think, is looking hopefully towards John Mercedio to see if he should go forward to try and attack this dead ball. We've played 3 of the 6 added minutes. Still, Derby lead 1-0. A yellow card for a member of the Derby coaching staff, I think. Bobby Clark being urged to move away from the ball as John Swift prepares to deliver. Schmidt has got as far as halfway and decided he won't go any further, the Portsmouth goalkeeper. Here comes Swift with the ball to be whipped in from the right-hand side. There are 5 or 6 blue shirts lined up on the edge of the 18-yard box away to our right. Those Derby fans looking on anxiously from behind the goal. It's a good delivery by Swift. Only cleared as far as Conor Ogilvie, but again the white shirts have defended their penalty area well, and Schmidt is going to be put under pressure here from Burnell and has to just knock the ball out of play for a Derby throw. That will do as far as the Rams are concerned.
Yeah, I think again the ball that was played in, they're hopeful, aren't they? They're not whipped in with any real conviction or belief. It's just getting it in there. A lot of the time, the Portsmouth players around the edge of the box especially are just passing the ball, passing the responsibility of the ball.
Schmidt has it, corner of the 6-yard box away to our left. A lot of Pompey fans starting to head for the exit. They don't believe their side are going to get the late equaliser they crave. As Ozo volleys the ball over the halfway line, we've got 90 seconds to play of stoppage time. Portsmouth 0, Derby 1. Been that way since Sammy Schmodix broke the deadlock as early as the 8th minute, and Derby have defended their lead pretty easily in truth. Unless Pompey can provide the late sting in the tail. Shaughnessy launches the ball forward towards Caballero. Did he get a touch, the Portsmouth man? Well, certainly nobody of Derby persuasion did. It's a goal kick, and that may well be it. Alvin Martin, we're into the last of the 6 added minutes and Derby have the ball inside their own 18-yard box.
Well, it's certainly been a painful evening, hasn't it, for everyone connected with Portsmouth. You know, after conceding the goal, have they ever really looked like getting back into the game? They've huffed and they've puffed. Can't fault their effort, but really lack of quality throughout the team. You know, defensively, I said that, you know, that's the one part of this team that he'd be happy with, but creatively, there's not been anything.
O'Donnell with the goal kick. All eyes now on the referee as Carlton Morris shrugs off the attentions of Regan Paul. Gives it away though on the halfway line, and Shaughnessy helps it forward for one final Pompey attack. Bishop out muscled by Matt Clark. Throw in for Portsmouth. Now or never as far as the home side are concerned. Devlin was going to take the throw, but he's left it for Marlon Pack to launch it into the area one final time. It's going to be towards Bishop at the near post. Comes down for Swift on the edge of the area. Devlin with a little chip over the top. They're queuing up at the back. Oh, it's a half chance for Shaughnessy. Didn't make clean contact with a shot. Derby want the full-time whistle as the low cross is played in from the left-hand side. Surely that will be game over. We're into the 7th added minute. Only 6 are indicated as Schmidt goes long into the penalty area. That was a big chance, you know, for Shaughnessy up from the back as Devlin's cross is charged down by Morris. Loops out for a Pompey throw, Alvin.
Everyone's looking at the referee. He's still not there and reaching for that whistle.
Marlon Pack with a long ball in once more. And the half volley from Segicic, left-footed, straight into the arms of O'Donnell. And as he launches this forward, I think the referee is going to call time on proceedings on a night of frustration for Portsmouth. In fact, he's held onto the ball for too long and they've been gifted a corner.
That's a big...
What drama here?
It's a big decision. I thought he was just waiting for the keeper to launch it and he was going to blow for time, but he hasn't.
And the goalkeeper Schmidt has come forward this time. How costly could that delaying tactic be for Derby? Swift for the ball in. It was towards Schmidt up from the back, but they've got it clear. Only as far as Swift again. Still Schmidt. The big yellow shirted keeper is forward. It's out of play for a throw, and well, the referee in no mood to call time. Marlon Pack wanted to come and take a long throw. Swift is going to try and do that instead. Matt Clark with a header clear, helped on by Shaughnessy, brought down by Marlon Pack, shoots right footed over the bar, and it's gone behind for a goal kick. And there is the full-time whistle. It's another disappointing night for Portsmouth. No wins in 5 now to leave them just a point above the relegation places. 4 straight home defeats here at Fratton Park. Only 1 goal scored in those 4 games. But for Derby, well, their quest to ram raid the playoffs is very much alive. 3 points now off the top 6, courtesy of Sammy Schmodik's 100th league goal with only 8 minutes played. It finishes here, Portsmouth 0, Derby County 1.
Once again, real disappointment for those home fans inside Fratton Park. John Massinho, he looks like he hasn't got the answer right now. Some of those players are looking confused as well. They huffed and they puffed, but they couldn't blow the house down, the door down into that Derby goal. It was an important win for Derby County. They closed 3 points now away from the playoff places. They have real hope of finishing in the top 6 if they can keep a good run going. 3 wins in their last 4 league games now. What was key to their victory, Alvin?
Well, once they got their goal, and there was one moment really of finishing ability, and Smodics was the one that they got it. Once they got that, then you were looking at a team that didn't have what it takes to stick the ball in the back of the net. They're lacking confidence up front big time. Defensively, as we said throughout the game, they've got a back line that's as good as anyone's in the division. But when you've got no one who can show up, who can cause the opposition back line, constant problems throughout a 90-minute game, then you're always up against it. The whole of the creative side of Portsmouth's team is lacking cutting edge, it's lacking confidence, and in the end, this crowd here, I don't think believed that they were ever going to score, because it is a crowd that you can really depend on to stick with you, and they did stick with their team, but it's so frustrating. I'm a neutral here, And I was getting frustrated, really, really frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Pompey, they couldn't create the goal that they needed. They had plenty of possession. You spoke about a lack of conviction, but does it boil down truly to confidence? And are they running out of confidence as the games go by now and the poor results come in? Is this a team that actually, at the wrong point of the season, is losing all of its confidence, and that might mean they're heading back down to League One?
Well, yeah, see, added to the woes that they've got here, they've got their teams below them that are having a revival. You know, and I think that doubles up on them. They can see it happening. The fans can see it happening. The players can see it happening. I'm sure the manager can see it happening. But he tried everything. He tried changing, dropping a player that the fans had turned on in terms of Bishop. It didn't work. You know, he played Brown up front, who looked like a fish out of water, and then he brought other forwards on who also looked bereft of confidence. Didn't look like they had a goal in him. I feel for the manager because he hasn't got the options. He hasn't got the quality to be able to draw on, and it's the most important part of your team. You know, you've got to get your defence right, your keeper right. You want to get solid in midfield and have a pass in you that can unlock a door. But once you've done that, you need somebody who's then going to say, now I'll stick it in the back of the net. And I think once they got their goal, they felt supremely confident, Derby, that they weren't going to be caused a problem going back the other way. And that was the case.
Derby County move 3 points away from Wrexham, who are 6th, but they have played a game more. They stay 8th in the table, Derby County. Portsmouth stay 20th. They're 1 point above the relegation zone right now, having played a game less than the two teams beneath them in West Brom and Oxford United. Derby host Birmingham on Saturday. Pompey go to Queen's Park Rangers in their next championship matches. Let's very quickly pick our man of the match with McDonald's.
Man of the Match on Talksport 2 with McDonald's. The Big Arch is here to stay at McDonald's with its very own delicious sauce. Available from 11 a.m, subject to availability. Price and participation may vary.
I'm not sure too many put their hands up. Who have you gone for, Alvin?
It was a hard one tonight. This was you. But, you know, Smolix was the only one who had a difference in terms of creativity. But I'm going to give it to a defender. And it was a fella that came in, into the fray and was exceptional all night. Poole. And, Regan Poole, I thought he was somebody that you could put your hat on and say, yeah, he'll do his job. Unfortunately for him, if you don't keep a clean sheet, you don't get any points.
Yeah. Okay, on the losing side tonight, but a winner as far as Alvin Martin's concerned. Regan Poole, our man of the match, all thanks to McDonald's.